2435 East 15th Street or anytime at BillbirdKiaPanamaCity.com. The road is yours in an all-new Kia from Billbird Kia.
Offer from Kia Finance America for the purchase of a new 2024 Kia Sorento or 2024 Kia Sportage with $2,165 per 1,000 financed in 48 months. Quantities limited. No down payment required. Cannot be combined with other finance offers. The 20-year, 200,000-mile warranty is a Billbird Kia warranty. See dealer for complete details. Offer for well-qualified buyers must take delivery from dealer stock through 9/3/24.
Los Rancheros has been doing it right for 20 years. Los Rancheros brings a top-shelf dining experience to you with the opening of their beautiful new building. Watch all college and pro games on Los Rancheros' 14 large-screen TVs with great drink specials daily from 2 to 5 and during all the games. Los Rancheros, the place for live sports and great food on 23rd Street between Jenks and Harrison.
Did you know that fees associated with real estate closings are virtually the same from one title company to the next? So what sets South Oak Title apart? Effective communication, customer service, expertise, and technology. If you're buying or selling real estate, refinancing a residential or commercial property, tell your realtor you want to close with South Oak Title. South Oak Title, with locations across the Southeast, including Panama City Beach, Inlet Beach, Destin, and Fort Walton Beach. Visit them online at southoaktitle.com.
You owe the IRS back taxes, and dealing with the IRS stresses you out. Fortunately, IRS Problem Relief can help you resolve back taxes and represent you to the IRS so you don't have to face them alone. Last year, IRS Problem Relief saved clients drowning in tax debt, and IRS Problem Relief is a local company right here in Panama City, not some 800 number where you can never talk to the same person twice. Put those problems behind you so you can focus on moving forward. Call Edward Corey with IRS Problem Relief, 850-784-8176. For a free consultation, call Edward Corey with IRS Problem Relief. It's 850-784-8176 or visit irsproblemrelief.com.
WGSX Lynn Haven, WVLQ Port St. Joe. Powered by Panama City Toyota.
And that's out of the ballpark.
ESPN, Northwest Florida.
Knocked away and intercepted. Ball game. The fairy tale continues.
The Afternoon Underdogs are on the air.
And the breakthrough for the U.S.
4.3 ESPN Northwest Florida.
What is going on, Northwest Florida? You're riding with the Afternoon Underdogs. This is ESPN Northwest Florida. 104.3 here in beautiful Panama City and 101.9 in Port St. Joe. I'm David Hayes along with Cliff, Early, and Caveman Rick. And again, we are the Afternoon Underdogs. And this is your home for the Mosley Dolphins. 104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida. High school football is back, and the season starts this Friday at 7 p.m. And we're going to have a nice little pregame show for you guys starting right after the Afternoon Underdogs at 6 o'clock. And they will take you all the way to kickoff. Kick it over there to me and Kyle Wright as the Mosley Dolphins are going to be taking on the Rutherford Rams. That'll be this Friday. Man, I tell you what, I do believe that Coach Nuke Floyd has got the Rutherford Rams in a good position right here, and obviously Coach Tommy Joe Whidden has been doing a great job with the Mosley Dolphins to this point, so should be a game filled with fireworks. Also, Arnold and Bay.
And you said the mayors are coming in mano a mano. Mayor
Mayor.
They're going to be duking it out here about 4:20. Huh?
Apparently they've got a little wager on the line. I'm not entirely sure what it is. That game, Arnold and Bay going to be going at it this Friday. Also, they'll be honoring that 2003 Arnold football team led by Coach James Hale and their coaching staff and the athletic director, Miss Julie Hale, as well. So they'll be honoring them right before the game. So you want to get out there a little bit early. That game will be at 6:30 for a 7 p.m. kickoff. And again, Mosley and Rutherford going to be right here. We got a lot of great games. Coach Siegel's going to join us today at 5:20. We're going to go over that. We've got a great guest calling in from Detroit. Dan, I believe. Is that right, Cliff? Yeah, he's going to be calling in. We're going to be talking about some NFL. So Detroit Dan going to be on with us here in just a few short moments. Harley T going to be joining us as well. He's a high schooler. Second hour. He's a high schooler. He's going to be talking some NFL Week 1 with us, and then maybe a little a preview of what's going on with Georgia Tech and Florida State. His pick for that game. Yeah. All right. Well, we've got a great show lined up for you, and as always, you can text or call at 850-215-6290. Well, we got the Atlanta Braves right here tonight, cover starting at 6, first pitch at 6:20, and with that, we've got a new piece, a new addition, and he debuted last night with the Braves, Gio Urshela. So let's go over to Detroit Dan. Let's get his thoughts on the former Detroit Tiger and Gio Urshela. Detroit Dan, how's it going, man?
Fantastic, gentlemen. Great to be with you here on a sick afternoon, and we're getting ready for football, too.
Yes, we are, man, and cannot wait to get your thoughts there on what we've got in the NFL. The Detroit Lions have been one of the hype monsters of the NFL over the last 2 years, and they've had the number of the Kansas City Chiefs, which has been a lot of fun to watch. But let's start there with Gio, man. What do you know about Gio that you can tell us as Braves fans that maybe we can look forward to from the guy that was designated for assignment?
Well, listen, I lived in Atlanta for years. I've always respected the Braves. I wish I could, give you some better news, but there's a reason that he was DFA'd. And, listen, he had some moments for the Tigers this year. He hit 243 with 5 homers, a 619 OPS over about 92 games for Detroit this year. And listen, the Tigers have a lot of infield prospects. That's one of the reasons that he was DFA'd. And obviously with Riley getting hurt for the Braves, he's going to be a nice possible answer. But if I'm a Braves fan, I'm not expecting too much. He is the kind of player that will get you some timely hits, that will drive in some runs in big situations. But overall, it's just this is a guy that's going to fill the gaps until Riley gets back for you, because Urshela is a decent player, but he's not one of those players that's really going to put a lot of fear into opposing pitchers or opposing defenses. But it'll be something where I think he'll be motivated to kind of show what he can do with a new team. Like I mentioned, he had some moments this year for the Tigers, but I don't want Braves fans to expect too much as this guy fills in for Austin Riley.
Yeah, that's a great point, and that's kind of something that we've come to expect. You got the guy from the Philadelphia Phillies and Whit Merrifield, who is also DFA'd. It seems like the Braves right now, when you look at the lineup, there's not a lot to really be excited about with all the injuries that they've been dealing with. But and in the past, some of those guys who would get DFA'd or AA would go pick them up, and you're like, who is this guy and what has he done? But then when they get plugged into that lineup, somehow their power numbers start getting a little bit of an uptick. Their consistency starts to look a little bit better, but that seems to be a different case this year. You're not plugging these guys into a powerful lineup. They're having to be a place taker, or a really just taking the place of someone who does have that big name. So we do hope for the best with Gio, and maybe he can get a little surge of energy and provide some energy to the Atlanta Braves. What have you thought, being a Detroit Tiger guy, what have you thought of the Atlanta Braves and the injuries that they've been dealing with? Is it impressive to you that they're still here in the running for the third wild card spot, and possibly, who knows how this series goes against the Philadelphia Phillies, but in the running for the NL East?
No, listen, I even though I'm a Detroit guy and always will be, and I mentioned I lived in Atlanta for a long time, my man Cliff, the legendary Cliff Early. But I'll tell you this. I've always been a fan of the Braves, and they're a 67-win team. Yeah. And I love their manager. I think you got to put you mentioned a lot of the injuries. Sticker's been phenomenal for them. And I look at this team that's 7-3 in their last 10, that's finding a way to beat some good teams. But the problem is that, as you mentioned, there's just something off about the Braves this year that we've not seen in recent years. I mean, this is a team that's obviously been World Series worthy, has had what it's taken to be the best team in Major League Baseball. But obviously, when you have a lot of injuries and you're in a division with a team like the Phillies, and you're playing in a National League that has a lot of talent all up and down, and some of the divisions that aren't as great still have a lot of talent that the Braves are playing this year. It's going to be a lot tougher when you lose guys like Riley, when you have a lot of guys that are productive, and you got to bring in guys that have been DFA'd like Gio Urshela to fill the gaps there. But I think Sticker is a phenomenal manager. The Braves have a ton of talent. They still have a lot of possibilities to be a playoff team and make a run when it matters most. They've done this in the past. So I've been impressed with how he's been able to kind of keep this team afloat. And to be 7-3 right now, as we're about to get into football season in the last month of the regular season of baseball, when they played some good teams in recent weeks, I've been really impressed with that. They still have guys like Olsen. They still got guys that can drive the ball out of the park. The defense isn't bad, and they've got some decent pitching. Bullpen leaves some things to be desired at times. But I think the Braves still have a chance to, at least make their fans have something to be excited about come playoff time. I don't think they can win the World Series, but in Major League Baseball, as you guys know, you just never know when a team gets hot. About, 20 years ago, the Rockies were 10 under 500. They made a crazy run towards the end of the season, made the playoffs, and went on a run. Anything can happen in baseball because you play every day.
So you still believe in the Tigers. Tonight, the Braves are going to be...
Absolutely not.
Of course, the Braves tonight at 6:20. That'll pick up right after the Afternoon Underdogs at 6 o'clock tonight. Tomorrow night, the Phillies game at 6:08, so we'll pick it up at 6 then, too. And then Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, they're still at home against the Nationals, so we'll have that Friday night game. Well, no, we're going to be carrying...
Yeah, we'll have the Dolphins.
Kickoff of high school football season. So we got the next two games with the Phillies, and hopefully everybody can tune in for those tonight and tomorrow night. Dan, as we shift gears to Lions training camp up there in Detroit, tell us what has you excited. How confident are you they can make it back to the same place they did last year, or maybe even make it to the big game?
Well, a couple things. Cliff, as we've known each other for a long time. Most of my life and most of our friendship in our life of almost 25 years, the Lions have not been a very good team. They've been embarrassing. They found ways to lose games in ways that even aliens would understand if they came down to Earth to watch football. They probably already have. But I'll tell you this. I've covered this team for almost 30 years. And, starting when I was in college and got lucky to be credentialed as a student at Eastern Michigan University, because Charlie Batch, the Lions' former starter, was a classmate of mine at Eastern Michigan. And I've seen it all. And I will tell you this, and obviously they haven't won anything yet. I was out there, luckily, in San Francisco last year, for a half. We were going to our first Super Bowl. We all know how that second half went and that silly AU catch and all the nonsense that happened in that game. But I'll just say this. We have seen moments before, whether it was during Jim Caldwell or whether it was back during the Wayne Fonts era with Barry Sanders and Lomas Brown and Glover and all the great offensive line they had back then, and the ability for them to be a team that could have gone to a Super Bowl. Dan Campbell, obviously the head coach, and Brad Sherlock Holmes, as I call him, the GM, I don't think we've ever seen anything like this. Holmes, coming from the Rams, was a college scouting guy as opposed to what Bob Quinn was, who the Lions brought over a few years back and was awful in that Patricia as a pro personnel guy for the Patriots. He knows how to identify talent. He helped the Rams build that Super Bowl team. And him and Dan Campbell, as you guys saw on Hard Knocks, anyone that watched it, have this incredible partnership. Have hit on pretty much every draft pick for the most part over these last 3 years. And obviously we'll see what happens with the draft this year. Guys like Terrion Arnold and Ennis Rakestraw, which I know some of you are familiar with from down in that SEC area. But it's been incredible to be, part of the fan base here, but also, the media that covers this team. I've been out at training camp. The tickets to training camp sold out in the first couple of hours. That's never happened before. They built canopies and stands. That's never happened before. They're getting sponsors and all this stuff that they want, to help the fans enjoy themselves in a training camp that for years people would go and have fun at. But what are the Lions going to do this year? And to get back, it's going to be tough. They've got a tough schedule, as any team, I guess, in the NFL does. But when you look at what Jared Goff did, top 5 metric numbers in so many different situations, you look at what Jahmyr Gibbs brings, you look what Jameson Williams is going to be able to bring now fully healthy for this team. The Lions defense with Aiden Hutchinson, some of the younger guys in the secondary, which was a problem last year, they are going to be a tough out no matter who they play each and every week. I know you mentioned the Chiefs. They beat the Chiefs twice in less than a year. I know one was a preseason game, but both those games were in Kansas City. So they're beating teams they would in the past. They're winning games they wouldn't in the past. But the one thing that obviously I'm sure you guys have talked about when it comes to the Lions out of the market and what we talk about here in Detroit is Dan Campbell. The reason they're where they're at is because of Campbell, but also the double-edged sword is the guy likes to go for it on literally every fourth down.
Yeah.
While I respect that and it gives the Lions that aggressive style and is the reason they're as good as they are, is they play to win, not to lose, which is a major thing in the NFL, and a lot of teams don't do that. The gambling ability of this team can hurt them. It hurt them in the Dallas game, which would have given them 1 seed if they'd won that game, going for it 3 times in a row, as they kept getting backed up on the 2-point conversion. Hurt him in the San Francisco game and then in the first half. Dan Campbell's just got to be a little more judicious. But I love the aggressiveness. You want a guy that wants to win a game and not just, try not to lose. But I think if the Lions continue to play the way they have and stay healthy, they will be right in the mix with San Francisco, with Philadelphia, a couple other teams. Obviously, Green Bay should be really good, again this year, as they had a great second half with Jordan Love being back in the fold. And they've improved themselves as well through the draft. It's going to be a lot of fun to watch, but the NFC North will be tougher. The NFC is going to be tougher. I think the Lions still have a great chance to get right back to the NFC title game, hopefully hosting it this time.
You're listening to ESPN Northwest Florida. We're on the line right now with Detroit Dan, who covers the Detroit Lions up there in Detroit. Dan, we see here about 2 hours ago, Penei Sewell leaving practice with a foot injury. Is that something that seems to be serious, or is it something that he'll be ready for week 1 by?
Well, we haven't really been able to hear a ton. We're going to hear a lot more about this over the next 24 hours. I mean, from what I'm hearing, it's not a very serious thing, much like Jahmyr Gibbs with the hamstring. Not a very serious thing. Terrion Arnold, Ennis Rakestraw. Dan Campbell talked yesterday about them all, the whole group of players, including Dan Skipper, the long snapper, and some other important players for the team, all being able to come back, start practicing after the Steelers' final preseason game this weekend. But obviously, Penei Sewell, and I will say this, I got to talk with him after the Lions lost that game against San Francisco in the NFC title game, and I asked Penei Sewell, bluntly, does all the things you did that year, last season, just take away from that after how incredible the Lions won their first playoff game in over 30 years, won 2 playoff games for the first season ever. In 1 year, they won 2 playoff games. That never happened before. Even the year they won the title, they said it had won. To me, his answer was everything. He said, that doesn't mean blank. He's one of the leaders of this team. I think arguably the best offensive line in football, so he better be healthy. Obviously, if you're a Lions fan, you hope he is. But from what I'm hearing, nothing crazy serious, plenty of time before the Lions open up with that Sunday Night Football game against former quarterback Matthew Stafford and the Rams at Ford Field on September 8th, which, of course, I'll be at. But obviously, getting guys like Gibbs back, getting, Ennis Rakestraw and Arnold, the rookies, you got to be healthy in today's NFL. You're always going to have injuries. But Penei Sewell would be a guy you simply cannot lose. He is a beast on that line. The guys love him. He's one of those character guys that everyone looks up to. And the offensive line is someone to behold for the Lions. So, obviously, hopefully, everything's good with Penei Sewell.
Shifting a little bit, Dan, to Ann Arbor, understand that you were in the running at some point to be the honorary captain for this first game. How are things looking as Michigan tries to reload with their new coach who's been around, but now he's the HC? What do you see from Michigan, and what are the chances of Michigan versus Florida State getting a 10th, 11th, or 12th spot in the 12-team playoff?
Well, listen, when Harbaugh had to pull out the focus on the Chargers, I think he just didn't want to answer the questions about all the issues. It was down to me and Eminem, so obviously they didn't go with me. Maybe next time I'll be the honorary captain. I am in every game, I face painted a lot. But listen, last year was one of the greatest moments of my life, being a lifelong Michigan fan. My father obviously started to take me to games when I was 5 years old. My grandpa, we've had seats in the same place in Michigan Stadium since the 40s. To be able to be in Houston with my shirt off and my face painted and win that national title in front of my eyes for the first time since '97 was something I'll never forget. But let's be honest, it is very tough to get back, especially now when you have a 12-team playoff. And to your question about Florida State, if I had to pick between my Wolverines and your Seminoles, I'm going Seminoles, 9 out of 10 times because there's just so much talent there. I think you're going to have a huge year. But Michigan people can't sleep on the Wolverines. Yes, there's no Jim Harbaugh. Yes, there's no J.J. McCarthy and many others. But they have a quarterback in Alex Orji, a nice football Orji, that could be really, really good. They've got Donovan Edwards, a Heisman candidate. They still have a tremendous amount of talent on defense. They do, as I was telling Cliff throughout the last couple weeks, I think the toughest schedule in my entire life. I'm 47 years old. I have never seen a tougher schedule for the Wolverines. Texas, USC, at Washington, Oregon, and of course the Buckeyes. They beat them 3 years in a row. They beat them this year. Ryan Day will be done because his day will be over. But I'll just say that when you look at what the Wolverines have, they've got a ton of talent. And if they can win that game against Texas, the second game of the season, they're going to beat Fresno State. If they can beat USC, a top 25 team at home, and then maybe, lose on the road to Ohio State or lose to Oregon at home, they will still have a shot to get in the playoff. It's going to be tough, and the Big Ten obviously is much better now, and it's only 2 teams making the Big Ten title game. There's not 2 divisions anymore. It's the top 2 teams after tie breaks. So while it's going to be very tough, Michigan's got a tremendous amount of talent. Daron Moore will take over this team seamlessly. He did it last year, obviously, when Harbaugh was suspended. That's not going to be an issue. The guys love him. They want to play hard for him. So if Michigan can take care of business at home, at least in that Texas game and the USC game, and maybe losing to Oregon, because Oregon, I think, is a better team than Michigan right now, then I think the Wolverines will have a chance. But between the Seminoles and Michigan right now, with all due respect to my Wolverines, and yes, we won the national title last year, the Seminoles have a much better chance of getting to the playoffs.
Speaking of the Seminoles, the spread, of course, the season kicks off in less than 72 hours in Dublin with Florida State and Georgia Tech. The spread at one point up around 13 is dipped to 10 to 9.5, and with the over-under still hovering around the mid-50s. Any ideas on that? Do you think the Florida State is going to roll, or do you think that Haynes King and the Yellow Jackets are going to be able to stay in the game?
Well, listen, there's been some sharp action on Georgia Tech because it's a neutral site game. Georgia Tech's going to be a lot better this year. They improved at times last season. They've got a decent defense. So I think that's why you've seen, an almost 2-touchdown spread go down to a touchdown and a field goal. But first off, I would not touch this game. It's a very, first games of the year, especially a neutral site, is very tough. I do believe that Georgia Tech can hang in this game, but after maybe a little kind of slow start for the Seminoles, they're the kind of team that could roll the Yellow Jackets in the end. They've got so much talent up and down both sides of the line. And to me, maybe the game starts a little slow, which a lot of times these games do. They're lower scoring. In college football, we see a lot more of the defenses ahead of the offenses. As the opposite in the NFL, you see a lot of the offenses ahead of the defenses because they're just such professional players. I think it's going to be a close game in the beginning. In the end, though, I think Florida State can easily cover that spread. So I'm staying away from it, but that's why you've seen the movement towards the Georgia Tech Yellow Jackets, because first game of the year, neutral site, Georgia Tech should be improved, and there might be a little sleepwalking earlier in this one on a neutral site. But in the end, I think Florida State could run this one up by 20.
I kind of wanted to touch back on Michigan real quick. Donovan Edwards was the complimentary piece last year to Blake Corum. This year, who looks to be the Donovan Edwards, if you will, to Donovan Edwards, the break giver to Donovan Edwards, who kind of takes his place, who's RB2 for the Wolverines this year?
Well, listen, I wish I want to make a case for my guy. I call it a high school game of the week, award-winning, by the way. Very grateful for that. We start our season next week, by the way, as well. We used to do a game at Michigan Stadium every year. We can't this year because the high school season in Michigan starts later. My man Cole Cabana is a guy that I called at a state semi out of Dexter, Michigan a couple years ago. I wish I could say it's him. I don't think he's there yet. But when you look at guys, like Dunlap, the guy from Texas, a senior running back, 6 feet, 229 yards. Also Leon Franklin from Southfield, another senior. Those are guys that can fit in. But I want to give you a name of somebody if you're going to watch Michigan football this year. Colston Loveland, the tight end. I think he is going to be a massive factor. He was last year at times the pride of Gooding, Idaho. He's 6'5", 245. He's a junior, and I believe that he is going to be a massive factor for the Wolverines offense. Let's cheer for Cole Cabana as well, a guy that I got to call in high school.
Sounds like a first-round draft pick assignment for Colston Loveland.
Yes, Colston Loveland is going to be in NFL. He's going to not just play on Sundays. He's going to be really, really good, but he will be a factor for the Wolverines this year, hopefully in their biggest games against Texas, USC, Oregon, Ohio State, and some others.
Do you feel if Florida State drops this game to Georgia Tech, how much does that hurt their chances of making the college football playoff?
They're out.
If Florida State cannot lose that game, I know it's a neutral site game. I know it's an improved Georgia Tech team. I know it's going to be a quasi-rivalry game, if you will. They're a top 10 team. They're looked at as a team that I believe and many believe, as I know you guys have talked about, can not just make the playoffs, but maybe get to the semis. Maybe, who knows, maybe get to a national title game. But I'll just say this. They lose that game. It's the first game of the year, and thank God you might have some 2-loss teams. I don't think we're going to have any 3-loss teams. You might have 2-loss teams in with the 12-team playoff now, but that would, in a way, just kind of send them probably out of the top 25, or at least close to, out of the top 25, and really raise some major questions. They are a much better team on paper. I know they don't play games on paper, but they are a much better team on paper than Georgia Tech. They're a team that had such a momentum move at the end of last year. I know injuries kind of killed it in the end. but they've got to win this game. And to me, I think they're going to win it going away. So if they lost that game, I think it would completely hurt their chances. They wouldn't be dead because it's game number 1, and thank God we don't have the just a 14 playoff anymore where you've got a chance to lose a couple games and still get in. But this would be, to me, an absolute unacceptable loss if you think that Florida State's going to be a playoff team this year to lose to a Georgia Tech team they should handle in the end.
Are there any other spreads here in week 0 that are jumping out off the page to you? Because for me, there's really 2 of them, and they both are dealing with FCS teams. That Montana State and New Mexico game. New Mexico an FBS team, Montana State an FCS team. Montana State, though, on the road is an 11.5-point favorite. Do you have any insight on that? I know that that's not your, the team that you cover, but yet we were talking a little bit about this yesterday, and it's really got me perplexed, and I can't find anything on it. Does that make sense to you? Montana State on the road being in an 11.5-point favorite. What does Vegas know that we don't?
Hey, listen, I cover every team. I have my own website, dtosquashpicks.club, where I just bang winners for people. So you can ask me about Army, Navy, Air Force, and any FCS team. I don't care. From what I've looked at in this game, it is odd. It's one of those things where you have a lot of weird stuff that happens spread-wise early in the season. There's stuff that, I'm not trying to say that there's things that are out there that we don't know about right now, but to me, New Mexico has just not been a good program, and they lost a lot of players. There's just, Montana State has been a much better FCS team, than New Mexico's been an FBS team. So while the gap is closed when it comes to teams that are obviously in the FBS compared to the FCS, you still should have spreads like that on the road, which is which is why I'm glad that you brought that up. But it's a game that I'm staying away from because I just don't like a lot of the week 0 stuff. So I looked at the SMU Nevada game. I think it's too many points for Nevada, getting 25 at home. Nevada's not a very good team. They can score, and they return, I think it's like 7 players from on their offense from last year. So that's the one game I'm looking at. But I would stay away from the Montana State game because it doesn't make a lot of sense to me either. But from what I've been hearing, there are some possibilities of things going on in New Mexico that will come out, injuries, guys getting suspended, that might have led into that line being just way more than it should be.
Thanks, Dan, for your time. I know you've got some exciting news coming up soon to announce a new affiliation for you. But tell us again, is that a .gov website? What did you see the website was for DTM Squatch?
No, if it was .gov, that'd be hilarious. If, the government sponsored gambling, it's legal. No, it's dtmsquatchpicks.club because I want everyone to join the club so I can help them squatch those winners. But yes, please check that out. Got great stuff on there. I've been winning for people for years. dtmsquatchpicks.club. But also, I do the WHMI High School Football Game of the Week. We got a doubleheader coming up next week on 93.5 WHMI. So always loving that. As you mentioned, I do have some big news that'll be announced soon with a nice venture I'm starting with a huge company here. It's a nationwide company, but they're founded here in Detroit. So very excited about that. And then obviously I got some stuff going on with the Detroit Lions, covering them as well this year. So a lot of fun as we get ready for football. I can't believe it's already here. Final preseason week for the NFL starts tonight. And then before you know it, as you mentioned, college football this weekend, and the NFL in just a couple of weeks. Can't wait, guys.
Dan the Man Sasquatch, dtmsquatch.club. Thanks, Dan.
dtmsquatchpicks.club.
Squatch
Love you guys. Keep the dream alive.
My man, Detroit Dad, that was awesome, man. Great stuff, and we look forward to chatting with you in the future if possible.
Absolutely. My pleasure and honor. Anything for you guys and anything for Cliff.
All right. Enjoy the season, and we'll give you a Go Wolverines. How about that?
That's a Go Blue for Michigan.
Go Blue.
That's right.
Got to do it. I'll give you even a Gold Knowles.
All right.
Play in Michigan.
Hey, we'll take it. You guys are riding with the Afternoon Underdogs. This is ESPN Northwest Florida. Coming up next, we're going to find out what this wager is that the Mayors have for the Battle of the Bridge.
ESPN Northwest Florida is your touchdown headquarters for the Mosley Dolphins and the Auburn Tigers.
Touchdown, Auburn!
Plus, premier college and NFL games.
Touchdown! Incredible!
Your source for the most live football on the Gulf Coast in a rich audio experience.
ESPN Northwest Florida.
This is Joanna with ESPN Northwest Florida. Here is your weather forecast on this Wednesday afternoon. The rest of the day, mostly sunshine and 91 with a gentle breeze out of the west-southwest at 9 miles per hour. For tonight, clear skies and a low near 76. Tomorrow, mostly sunny in the morning and then possible thunderstorms and a high around 90. For Friday, a chance of thunderstorms and a high of 89. This weather forecast is sponsored by Mid-South Lumber, the best little lumber yard in Panama City. Thank you for listening to ESPN Northwest Florida. Rely on it.
Great design is timeless, and that's why Tracy's Fine Jewelry inside Coin and Bullion Reserves offers a stunning selection of vintage, antique, estate jewelry on sale now at 40% off. Exquisite Victorian rings, Art Deco diamond brooches, Georgian and Art Deco bracelets, earrings, and pendants. These one-of-a-kind pieces add personality to any ensemble, and now at 40% off. Find your timeless treasure at Tracy's Fine Jewelry inside Coin and Bullion Reserves.
Florida Health Connector. We connect you to Blue.
Most people sign up for health insurance during the open enrollment period at the end of the year. But did you know you may qualify for a special enrollment period at any time during the year? Florida Health Connector can tell you if you're qualified for a zero premium plan.
Call Florida Health Connector today at 850-249-1010.
Florida Health Connector. We connect you to Blue.
He has one man to beat. He beat him. Jar, Quez, Hunter, touchdown Auburn.
Kickoff on the Plains is coming.
15-10, Ford to the end zone. Touchdown, Peyton Ford.
Auburn football returns August 31st.
The kick is on the way. The season is underway.
Only on your home for the Tigers.
Auburn fans, we're bringing you every single game this season on the exclusive home for the Auburn Tigers on the Gulf Coast. ESPN Northwest Florida, War Eagle.
From the diamond to the end zone, from the studio to the sideline, we're the destination for sports on the Gulf Coast. ESPN Northwest Florida. Now back to the Afternoon Underdogs.
Welcome back into the doghouse. You're riding along with the Afternoon Underdogs. Tuned in here to ESPN Northwest Florida, 104.3 and Panama City and 101.9 in Port St. Joe. I'm David Hayes along with Cliff Early and Caveman Rick. Again, it's the Afternoon Underdogs, and we are your home for the Auburn Tigers. And you can join us not this Saturday, but the next Saturday. Kickoff is at 6:30, coverage at 5:30 on your number one destination for college football and the Auburn Tigers, ESPN Northwest Florida. And we've got some big high school football starting this Friday. And of course, we've got the Battle of the Bridge, Arnold and Bay. And with that, we've got the mayors in the house, Mayor Teddimer of Panama City Beach and Mayor Rowan of Panama City. And thank you guys for coming in and giving us some of your time this afternoon. And I want to hear what in the world we've got going on. First, I do got to point out, Coach Griffin starting over there at Arnold this year. Coach Jeremy Brown's been over there at Bay for a little bit now, but a new color scheme here for Arnold. I love these black helmets and the royal blue jerseys, looking good. I'm excited about it, but what do you guys have planned here for this game coming up this Friday?
Well, I think it's going to be a really interesting game, David. I was going to say it's going to be interesting on the field, but Doc, you want to make it a little bit more interesting? I was going to say, why don't we put something down over this?
Oh, here we go. Up the ante, if you will.
Yeah. If the Marlins win, why don't you take me out to dinner?
Yeah, that's a great idea. If the Marlins win, which is not going to happen, but
here we go.
If the Marlins win, I will take you to dinner on your choice in Panama City or Panama City Beach, whichever one works. But we'll definitely do it. Get wife, girlfriend. We'll go out and we'll have a good time.
Yeah, well, I'll take you to Runaway Island if the tornadoes somehow manage to squeak by there.
Okay.
But you and your wife, and then me and my girlfriend will do beachside. If the Marlins win, we'll do over there across the bridge if the tornadoes win. How's that?
Good for the townies.
If the tornadoes win, we'll take you to the Captain's Table over in St. Andrews. Great seafood place. So it'll be
good
wonderful.
Food over there.
But looking forward to a great game. We're kicking off. This is the beginning of the high school football
Yeah.
season. So Stuart and I were very excited, and we're excited to have the Battle of the Bridge because I've been in Panama City a long time, and there's always controversy on which side of the bridge is the best side. So my 5 kids all went to Bay High, and we're rooting strong for Bay High. We want it to happen.
Well, what side of the bridge is the best side to you, Mayor?
The only side is the Panama City
Whoa.
side. Yes, that's the only side. We go to the beach to watch the bikinis and put on, and have a beer on the beach. But otherwise, for the serious people, we like to stay in town.
Mayor Teddemer?
Yeah, well, I mean, you must be serious to stay over there, but we like to we like to have fun over here. We got a lot of good people over here, and when you want to go have some fun, you come over to the beach. Our residents are among the best, probably the best in Bay County, I would say. And so, you just come over to check out the beach, get some great food, and talk to some great people. And
I do love both of those restaurants that you guys mentioned, though. Great establishments.
Oh, yeah, they're wonderful. We're also going to be recognizing, Arnold's going to be recognizing the undefeated 2003 Arnold football team with Coach James.
Coach James Hale, absolutely.
Yeah. How do you know him?
Well, I used to run his board for him back in the day, but he works right here on ESPN Northwest Florida. And you can hear the Coach James Hale show from 7 to 9 a.m. Monday through Friday.
Yeah, so we got a great history. We got a great team coming up. I know the Tornadoes are well coached, and the Marlins are going to have to play pretty good to take it home, but I think Coach Griffin's going to be able to do it.
Well, I have a question for you, Stuart. It looks like you're following the European model because you said that the football team was undefeated last year.
In
2003.
Oh, in 2000 I'm sorry.
Yeah, the first team.
Because actually your soccer team was pretty much it wasn't undefeated, but it was the national champs last year. The soccer team from Arnold.
Yeah, so I mean,
I was thinking you went British, European on me calling it football.
Well, the Arnold soccer team is absolutely amazing. They're incredibly impressive. I think was it state champs 2 years? Yeah,
2 out of the last 3. I mean, they've been in the running every year. Coach Jonah Hammond does a phenomenal job over there. Hunter Griffin and the rest of the gang. I mean, so many players on that Arnold soccer team. I was watching, well, not even watching, honestly. I was getting the updates from some buddies of mine and actually one of the parents of the kids on the team. And the penalty kicks were just, it was insane for Arnold to go down there to DeLand, Florida, I believe is where the state championship. And then by way of them having such a great season, they were actually they were crowned national champs because they had the best season out of all the high schools. So congratulations to all of them. And that was I really like that spin that you had on it, though. Oh, you're going European on me. That was good stuff there. Good stuff.
Well, I grew up playing soccer, but we actually play flag football over at Frank Brown Park every second Saturday. So if anyone wants to come by and play some flag football with us, the next one's going to be the 14th of September. Yeah, it comes.
It's just playing flag football, like a recreational. Is this a league or just for fun?
It's basically just pick up.
Nice.
Just come pick up. We'll be at 10 a.m. Right behind the basketball courts. But we got some great players coming up on the Marlins here. I know QB Will Cotter has got a big arm and really strong kid. So I think we're going to be able to put up a pretty good showing. What do you think, Doc?
I think it's going to be great, and since Arnold didn't win any games last year, I believe Bay High was more than eager to jump on this thing, and so we're expecting you to be better, but we hope you're not too much better because we really want to, we want Bay High to take it to the house. We want to win this game. I got to get a dinner out of you. This is the real deal here.
Now, are you guys going to be in attendance for this game?
Absolutely,
for sure. Yes.
Yeah, we'll be there at the coin toss, and we'll be there with our significant others watching the game. It should be a really good game. I'll be there a little bit before the game to talk to folks as they come in. Try to keep the politics off the field as much as possible. But it's always nice to talk to people who are established in the community, supporting high school sports. It's just great to be out and amongst people.
Yeah, it's great to have you guys in talking about the wager here. And again, if Bay High wins, then Mayor Teddemer is going to be taking Mayor Rowan out to eat in town, right? Captain's Table? No. Oh, no, Runaway Island. That's right.
Yeah.
It's going to be in Panama City Beach. And if Arnold wins, then it'll be vice versa, right? And so they'll be eating over there at the Captain's Table. Great. I love this wager. I'm honored that you guys would come make this right here on the Afternoon Underdogs. And, you know, to your point there, and to your point as well, Arnold last year, you know, totally defeated, right? They didn't win a game, but I think that there's a new surge, a new energy around with Coach Griffin coming over from Bozeman, who had a phenomenal season last year. And there was a lot of injuries prior to the season starting for Arnold last year. So I think that they're back and ready to go. And Bay, JT Bowden might be one of the best players here in the county this year. So there's a lot to look forward to. And I believe I heard on the Coach James Hale show, DJ Davis is a name to watch out for those Bay High Tornadoes as well. Do you got any other players for us to kind of keep an eye on, Mayor Teddimer?
Yeah, I do. But first, I want to say they already won once the Kickoff Classic last week against the Wildcats. Yeah. So, you know, we're already doing much better. And,
no doubt.
It's about 1,000% better.
Yeah, something like that. But, you know, I know the defensive lineman Will King is a 4-year starter. So this is going to be his last year. You know, one of the leaders in the state in tackles. Receiver Truman Parsons got great speed and size. That's a junior. So we're going to hopefully keep him around for a year. We got a lot of juniors starting right there this year. So, you know, I know Coach Griffin's doing a great job, and I'm really looking forward to what we're going to see out of that program. Also, receiver Darren Elders, one of the best athletes in Bay County. He's got a big playmaker right there.
I apologize. I don't know the players at Bay High very well, but I'm going to learn them during the year. And my grandson was actually running track, and he was running at Arnold last year. And I used to go pick him up at like 7 in the morning, 6:30, something like that. And we used to watch the football players practicing, and they have some very, very good athletes look like they're coming up this year. So I'm looking forward. I think it's going to be an exciting game, and I don't think we can take Arnold for granted like we could have probably last year.
Yeah, and last year was a different story.
Yeah, so we're excited, and people, I don't know if y'all know this, but people in Bay County, I mean, they love football.
Yes.
And they love high school football. So maybe not as much as Texas, but we like it a lot, and we're going to have a lot of people there, a lot of enthusiasm. And I'm not going to let Stuart go talk to all the people. I'm going to get out and talk to some of them too. I got to do some politic, and I got to run for office again next year. So I got to keep things greased, you know.
There you go. Well, looking forward to that game. I know it's going to be a lot of fun. How much do you think Bay wins by?
I predict, let's see, I would say Bay's going to win by, I would say 21 points.
21, 3 touchdowns. What about you, Mayor Teddimer? What does Arnold win by?
Ooh, I think it'll probably be by 10 to 14.
10 to 14,
yeah, somewhere in there. Probably, probably a kick in there, and then a touchdown at least.
All right, going off of last year's game, since I'm going to take both of you guys' score and kind of just point a point spread on this. But last year, Bay had a better season than what Arnold did, and I think that there's a new excitement around the Arnold program. I think Coach Brown has been doing a great job with Bay High. I'll say Bay minus 11.5. So Bay by 11.5, but anything can happen, and Arnold being at the house too. That's definitely going to be something to watch out for. And if Arnold would have been able to have Noble healthy last year at quarterback, who knows how that season plays out? And I really feel for Coach Campbell, who's no longer with Arnold, but he really did a good job stepping up, and maybe a position that he didn't necessarily really want to stick around. I know that he kind of came to be a coordinator and then kind of got thrust into that head coaching job and stuck around for those youngins. And now you got Coach Griffin, who's been around Bay County for a long time and is moving from Bozeman over there to Arnold. So I'm looking forward to this. And again, guys, just tell us your bet one more time before we get out of here.
Well, if the Marlins win, as I expect them to, Mayor Rowan's going to take me out to Captain's Table over there in Panama City. And if something weird happens and the Tornadoes win, I'm going to take them over there to Runaway Island. It's got good food and a great view.
Well, I appreciate coming here today. And one thing I do want to say about Panama City Beach, it's got some of the best beaches in the world. So we want people to come down to Panama City Beach, enjoy yourself, sit out on the sun, get burned, get tired, and come over to Panama City and have a down home sort of a atmosphere that we have, just sort of a country home down there. But I'm predicting a 3-touchdown win for Bay High.
There we go. Well, I think one thing is for certain is that here in this area, here in Bay County, we do have the best of both worlds on this side of the bridge and on the other side of the bridge. And thankful for what you guys do. Appreciate you guys stopping in, and we really do look forward to that Arnold and Bay game, and then we'll find out what the finality is of this particular bet. So, guys, thank you for coming on the air with us and making your wager.
All right, thank you, sir.
Thank you very much.
Game on.
Game
Very
on.
good.
Go
Game on.
Marlins.
Thank you
Go
very much.
Tornadoes. Yes, sir. Mayor Rowan, Mayor Teddimer, appreciate you guys. You're riding with the Afternoon Underdogs. This is ESPN Northwest Florida. We're going to take a quick time out, and we will be right back with a little bit of traffic jam and trivia.
ESPN Northwest Florida. We're the radio home of the Mosley Dolphins.
We're going under the lights this Friday night as the Mosley Dolphins kick off the season versus the Rutherford Rams. Listen to David and Kyle for live play-by-play from Tommy Oliver Stadium. Coverage starts at 6:45. Mosley Dolphin football is sponsored by Panama City Toyota, Orthopedic Specialists, Chapman Wealth Management, and ESPN Northwest Florida.
This is Joanna with ESPN Northwest Florida. Here is your weather forecast on this Wednesday afternoon. The rest of the day, mostly sunshine and 91 with a gentle breeze out of the west-southwest at 9 miles per hour. For tonight, clear skies and a low near 76. Tomorrow, mostly sunny in the morning and then possible thunderstorms and a high around 90. For Friday, a chance of thunderstorms and a high of 89. This weather forecast is sponsored by Mid-South Lumber, the best little lumber yard in Panama City. Thank you for listening to ESPN Northwest Florida. Rely on it.
That Cajun Place is your LSU and Saints football headquarters. Saints and LSU fans, wear your team colors and score a free Jell-O shot when your team scores a touchdown. Only at That Cajun Place. Get $5 pitchers on select draft beers during all live football games. Catch all the games at once with the NFL package on 27 large TVs at That Cajun Place. And the best wings on the beach. The locals' favorite, That Cajun Place.
Attention homeowners, are you dreaming of a backyard oasis? Look no further than S&R Fencing, your go-to destination for quality outdoor transformations. At S&R, they specialize in crafting custom fences, decks, retainer walls, and all exterior construction that not only enhances the beauty of your home, but also stands the test of time. Their experienced team takes pride in delivering top-notch craftsmanship with a personal touch. S&R Fencing, locally owned, licensed, and insured, and a member of the BBB.
It's not the size of the dog in the fight. It's the size of the fight in the dog. Now, the Afternoon Underdogs on ESPN Northwest Florida.
Welcome back. It's the Afternoon Underdogs here on ESPN Northwest Florida. David Hayes along with Cliff Early and Caveman Rick, the Afternoon Underdogs. Your home for the Atlanta Braves. Caveman Rick, how'd that Phillies loss feel like last night? I gotta do it, man.
Nice.
I know,
It's
but
not
I
very
gotta
nice
do
at
it.
all.
It's all right, man.
Chop off.
Yeah, chop off. Raul Iglesias, man. Like, what was it, 11 Ks again?
No, it was Reynaldo Lopez. 10 Ks in 5 innings. His first game back from the stint on the IL with some forearm tightness. And, yeah, he looked wonderful last night. Grant Holmes coming in and pitching a couple innings after him. And then Raul Iglesias getting the save to wrap it up. I believe they said with Reynaldo Lopez, the only guy in history to strike out Kyle Schwarber and Bryce Harper twice in the same game.
No, I think it was 6 times. Like three
times apiece.
Yeah,
three times. So he hit them each with the hat trick.
Yeah. So
that's wild. But you can't expect the Phillies bats to stay.
Gets a nut every
now and again. Eh?
You know, it's all good. It's one game.
There you go.
Pretty good matchup tonight.
Yeah.
Right, with Nola going up against Fried.
Max Fried. Oh, I'm looking forward to that one. Max Fried, it's kind of been an up and down year for him. 7-7 on the year with the wins and loss records. Aaron Nola, one of the best in the game. So 6 o'clock coverage starts right here after the Afternoon Underdogs. First pitch tonight at 6:20. Man, that's going to be wild. I got to ask you guys though.
We just had
on it already. You got a parlay on it?
Yeah.
Well, tell me what you got going
I'm
tonight.
thinking Nola's gonna, go over on the strikeouts. So that's I think it's like 6. He's
6?
5.5. And then, since we had a, kind of a poor showing last night, I got guys like, Harper, Schwarber, Turner, who were hitless last night. Got them getting hits.
There you go. All 3 of them with hits.
Yeah, we'll see what happens.
I like Matt Olson to get a hit. I haven't put any type of parlay in tonight, but we'll see what the Braves can do. I do got to say, though, Gio Urshela got a walk late in the game last night that really helped out the Atlanta Braves kind of pad that lead a little bit. And then Whit Merrifield, I don't know if it was just because he was going up against the Phillies, but to have that triple down right field line.
2-strike triple.
Yeah, 2-strike triple. That's a great point there.
Yeah, Braves have struggled on 2 strikes this year a lot. I mean, they've like last year they were great and maybe number 1 in the whole league batting with runners in scoring position, and they're just not getting the opportunities this year. It's kind of like a bad fluke year and then their whiff rate when you've got 2 strikes is through the roof. So, but that was a huge at bat, and to think he had a triple, a double, and a walk. He's coming along. He's coming along quite a DFA.
And quite a guy that got DFA'd. So maybe we can get the same out of Gio Urshela. And it just...
Dumpster diving Braves, man.
I tell you,
everybody's garbage.
That's right.
The lineup does look like, you're just like, man, my dad texted me last night. He's like, well, the Atlanta injuries came away with a win last night.
That's funny. Ozuna next.
Come on now.
I'm just saying, like, you got
that's all that could be
going down the line.
That's the only dude there is.
Well, I mean,
Just
you could
kidding.
lose, like, another pitcher or something.
He had a big fly last night as well.
That's what I'm saying, man.
Up to 37. AJ Minter is officially out for the year. I don't know if that's surprising or not. He had that hip issue that he's been dealing with. He dealt with it earlier in the year, and it came back to haunt him, and so he will be out for the rest of the year. Now, we just had the mayors in, Mayor Teddimer and Mayor Rowan. Who do you got in that game, Arnold or Bay?
I got the team that you're calling, man.
Oh, that's Mosley. So
man.
I won't be calling that game, but
I want a tie so they can
I think Arnold's strong.
They need a tie so they can have a picnic on the bridge.
Oh, a picnic on the bridge. That's what we should say is if
awesome.
the game goes to overtime, they have to have a picnic on the bridge, like on one of the sidewalks.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I mean, like right there in the middle.
No, not right there.
Well, not in the middle of the road. Well, I mean, hey, we could do that. I mean, no, I don't want to go there. A week ago, we started talking about the bridge, so let's not go there.
Well, we need traffic support. And they have friends in traffic support.
They do.
It's possible.
I do want to give a shout out to those over there at the Navy base. So Larry Brown had us on had us over there at the base today, and we did they decorated some doors. They had 7 or 8 doors that were decorated college football style, and they had us go through. There was 4 or 5 of us judging, and they had all of their doors
so who won?
ready to go.
Team?
That's what I'm about to get to. That's what I'm about to get
full
to.
compilation, tabulation.
Yeah.
He's pulling up.
It was really cool because we got to meet the commanding officer, Commander Mosey. He had his door decorated as the Florida Gators, and they ended up giving us some challenge coins at the end. It was really awesome. My first time being over there on the Navy base, and just to see it kind of from the other side, you're like, wow, man. And they're gonna eventually give us all of us here at ESPN are welcome. We just got to figure out how many people, and they're gonna give us a more in-depth tour. But Larry Brown gave us a really cool tour today, and I was so excited to be there because without the service that our sacrifice, not our sacrifices, the sacrifices that were made in order for us to be sitting here talking about sports and something silly compared to the serious stuff that they do, and then to be in a conference room with them and just talking about things. It was eye-opening, and it was really cool, and they were very hospitable to us. And if we didn't have to do the inside drive, we would have been able to have lunch right there at the mess hall. That would have been really cool. But Commander Mosey had the Florida Gators, Larry Brown had the Michigan State Spartans, Maggie Brown had the South Carolina Gamecocks, Chief Geraldine Singleton had the FSU Seminoles, Tim Akers, he was the police chief. He had an Alabama door. That was my favorite. I didn't give him the best grade, but it was my favorite. Lieutenant Commander Chester, which was the chaplain. He had a Michigan Wolverine door, and he actually had a personal letter that Jim Harbaugh sent him. He wrote a letter to Jim Harbaugh and kind of put a prayer in the letter and everything, and sent him a Navy cap that was signed when they were going to be playing Army, and he asked him to wear that on the sideline. And because of contractual obligations, Jim Harbaugh wasn't able to do it, but he did write him a letter back, so that was really, really cool. And then Steve Primo had Arizona, and then Catherine Montfort had Notre Dame and Notre Dame. Catherine Montfort got first place. Second place was Tim Akers with Alabama, and third place was Lieutenant Commander Chester, who is the chaplain there with the Michigan door. They all had great doors. It was a lot of fun, and just wanted to thank them and appreciate them for the time that they spent with us and allowing us to come on base and do a little judging there. And they also, just wanted to kind of shine a light on that base. They do a lot for our community, and they bring in a lot of money for our area.
Any of them alums at any of those schools, and that's the reason why they did the decorating?
You'd hope
did they
so,
say?
right?
Or like if they were officers, I don't know.
I believe Tim Akers, the police chief, I believe he was. I would assume that most of them were alumni. We didn't get into that because it was kind of like stop at the door, give them a judge.
Well, you had
give
the
them
one
the judge,
coin
and then
that had the
challenge
gator on
coin.
it too.
Yeah.
So you would think,
But that actually, the guy that was Larry Brown's challenge coin.
Okay.
And he's from Michigan, so he's a Sparty.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Oh, right on.
Yep.
So it wasn't associated with the school. My bad. I kind of.
Well, he's the guy who actually got it all set up for us. He put the whole thing together. They were doing that for raising money for charity as well. So that was and he's a listener of the station. That's how this whole thing panned out. As he messaged the station asking if I'd be interested in it, and I was like, "Yeah, come on, Ryan, like come with me and let's go make that happen." So yeah, it was a lot of fun and definitely appreciative of them. We do go ahead.
Yeah, I didn't realize that the Coast Guard Academy was there too, as well as the salvage training, and of course with Coast Guard, you've got Homeland Security protecting our borders. So it's a huge base, and they're adding more and more space all the time. Right, they're accessing right along Thomas Road. So
It's a lot bigger than what it kind of leads on to be, because you just see that little blurb of it, and then when you start driving back in there, you're like, oh wow, they
got some cool stuff back there. When I did my EMT training, I had to go to the base to do a call, and we had to go do a call on one of the hovercrafts. So I was actually walking around on one of those things.
Oh wow,
and that's pretty dope. How big those things are and what they can do.
I really want to go see the dive center.
Yeah,
that's I would love to just get a tour of that place, because I'm trying to remember the officer who used to call in and play trivia with us. He was an Oklahoma fan. I can't remember his name, but
I do remember who you're talking about too, and I can't remember his name either.
Can't ever forget what's his name.
Yeah, I can't ever forget what's his name. But Chuck Sowers, used to be with Team MVP, with Team MVP with Leanne. Yeah, he used to do some lead those classes. Yep, absolutely. And thoughts and prayers too with Leanne. She had to put old Samson down Monday, and so that was definitely tough on her. And I had to dog sit Samson a few times, so definitely a little chunk out of my heart is missing as well. For Traffic Jam and Trivia today, we're going to be giving you $25 to not the, but that boot store in a 12-pack of Buffalo Rock, which was the only team to go undefeated during the 1993 college football season. What was the only team to go undefeated during the 1993 college football season? You got a guess?
Yeah.
You know who it is, don't you?
I gotta guess.
Yeah, there you go. So if you guys know, 850-215-6290, and we've got $25 to not the, but that boot store on the line. Man, we've got our TV is back working here in the studio. I feel like we're back at 23rd Street. What are you shaking your head about? Oh, because of what's on, baby. He hates the Little League World Series.
Is this like a semifinal game? I guess it's Venezuela and Mexico, and Taipei has already advanced to the championship game for their 17th time or something silly like that.
Yeah, I believe this
is awaiting these two.
Yep, this is the semifinal game. It's in the top of the second. Venezuela leading Mexico right now. So impressive stuff to have that big of an inning there in the first for Venezuela. I read somewhere that up until their loss to Japan, they were outscoring their opponents 93-0. And then they lost 2-1 to Japan.
That's wild. Against world-class competition.
Absolutely.
Solid.
Paul, you're riding with the Afternoon Underdogs. This is ESPN Northwest Florida. How are you doing this afternoon?
I'm doing well. How about you?
I'm doing great. What was the only team to go undefeated during the 1993 college football season?
I had Alabama, but Alabama was 92 when they won the championship, so I'm going to say Miami.
Oh, that's a good guess, but you should have stayed in that state there, Paul. We do appreciate the call. Who is your college football team?
Florida State.
Florida State. Tell me, what do you think here? What happens against Georgia Tech? Do you think Haynes King, Brent Key have an opportunity to knock off the Noles, or are the Noles too deep, too experienced on both sides of the ball?
I think the Noles are going to take it. I think it's going to be a close game in the beginning. Then, of course, then in the second half, the Noles are going to pull away.
There you go. So do they cover 10.5?
Yes, they cover 10.5.
I love it. All right. Well, Paul, thanks so much for the call, my friend, and you have a great rest of your day. Thank you so much for listening.
Thanks.
All right. Well, we are your home for the Auburn Tigers, and this season ESPN Northwest Florida is going to be bringing you every game. We've got you on every single touchdown, every sack, and interception, and the kickoff is going to be August 31st versus the Alabama A&M Bulldogs. Cover starting at 5:30, kickoff at 6:30 on your number one destination for college football and the Auburn Tigers, ESPN Northwest Florida. What's a game in week one that you're looking forward to, Cliff?
Well, there's the Georgia and Clemson game?
Clemson, Notre Dame.
I like Miami, Florida, though.
Yeah.
Being a Seminole, I'd love to see those guys go, crack some heads.
Who do you give the upper hand to in that game, the Miami-Florida game?
That's a tough one. I'm rooting for Florida, although I should be rooting for the ACC because it strengthens the strength of schedule for everybody. But I kind of like to see Florida pull this one out. Although it's going to be tough. It's going to be tough because their recruiting classes aren't developed yet. And so with the toughest schedule in the country, Napier kind of needs this one if he's going to stick around in Gainesville.
I agree with you, and we'll see how Cam Ward plays in his first game with the Hurricanes. I'm picking Florida. We'll see what ends up happening. You guys are riding with the Afternoon Underdogs. This is ESPN Northwest Florida. Just around the corner, it's Harley T, y'all.
ESPN Northwest Florida, the Paul Feinbaum Show.
Hello, Trey.
Oh, Paul. Hey, Paul. Next time Elliot calls in, I'm going to give you and the guys in the studio permission. Y'all just go ahead and use Trey's toilet flush on his phone calls, Paul, because that guy's just flushing.
Paul Feinbaum, weeknights, 6 to 10 on ESPN Northwest Florida.
This is Joanna with ESPN Northwest Florida. Here is your weather forecast on this Wednesday afternoon. The rest of the day, mostly sunshine and 91 with a gentle breeze out of the west-southwest at 9 miles per hour. For tonight, clear skies and a low near 76. Tomorrow, mostly sunny in the morning and then possible thunderstorms and a high around 90. For Friday, a chance of thunderstorms and a high of 89. This weather forecast is sponsored by Mid-South Lumber, the best little lumber yard in Panama City. Thank you for listening to ESPN Northwest Florida. Rely on it.
Take control of your adventure and discover the new Kia at Bill Burr Kia. Our SUV family is built for all-in adventures and endless possibilities. Whether you're traveling on the highways or off-road, you'll do it with grace and grit. Now offering 1.9% APR for up to 48 months on the purchase of a new 2024 Kia Sorento or a new 2024 Kia Sportage. You'll get the perfect balance of comfort, safety, and technology. Bill Burr Kia is the home of the 20-year, 200,000-mile warranty. Stop by and see us at 2435 East 15th Street or anytime at BillBirdKiaPanamaCity.com. The road is yours in an all-new Kia from Bill Bird Kia.
Offer from Kia Finance America for the purchase of a new 2024 Kia Sorento or 2024 Kia Sportage with $2,165 per $1,000 financed at 48 months. Quantities limited. No down payment required. Cannot be combined with other finance offers. The 20-year, 200,000-mile warranty is a Bill Bird Kia warranty. See dealer for complete details. Offer for well-qualified buyers. Must take delivery from dealer stock through 9/3/24.
WPLQ Port St. Joe, WGSX Lynn, powered by Panama City Toyota.
ESPN Northwest Florida.
Battle for the East continues to heat up, and your Atlanta Braves are battling back and looking for some big wins.
Adam Duvall up at the plate with 2 down. And he swings and hits one deep to left field. That's going to fly on back. That's going to fly on out of here.
Tonight, Austin Riley and the Braves are back in town for a huge NL East matchup against Bryce Harper and the division-leading Phillies.
Braves coverage begins at 6 after the Afternoon Underdogs, right here on your home for the Braves, ESPN Northwest Florida.
Hot takes, the latest trades, in-depth interviews.
That is my reaction.
We break it down for you right here.
Very big springboard for the rest of my career.
The Afternoon Underdogs.
That's the problem right there.
104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida.
Underdogs, this is Clifford Early along with David Hayes, Caveman Rick, pushing the slides for the ones and the twos behind the mirror, behind the glass. Some breaking news, Bo Nix was just named the starting quarterback for the Denver Broncos. So a tough journeyman, if you're familiar with his Auburn and Oregon story. So congratulations to the Nix family for Bo getting that. We're joined by Harley T. out of Pensacola. He's a high schooler at Booker T. and is one of my favorite pundits for NFL football. Harley, are you with us?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you great. I guess we'll jump right into the NFL season. We've got week 1 begins next Thursday night. We've got a Thursday night game, a Friday night game, only one Monday night game this weekend, opening weekend next week, as well as a full slate on Sunday. Of all of the games the first week, which one jumps out to you the most?
Well, there's a lot of interesting matchups going into the first week, but I think, I'll give me a second. Honestly, I'm kind of curious about the Bills and Dolphins game.
What is it about the Bills and Dolphins game that stands out? Go ahead.
That's my. That was my mistake. I was on the wrong game. The Ravens and Chiefs.
Ravens and Chiefs.
I think that's going to be a really good opener.
I think so too. That's a great game that they picked for the first game, the first Thursday night of the regular season. It's going to be, obviously it's going to be a battle of wills with the two quarterbacks, and see how well the defenses were able to reload and adjust and cover those two quarterbacks and those potent offenses.
I already got my money on the Ravens.
I don't think they could have. I don't think they could have made a more interesting choice for the first game. I mean, pretty much for a while now, been the two main AFC powerhouses. Obviously, the Ravens are looking scarier than ever this year. Adding Derrick Henry, that's one of the scariest rushing attacks. I mean, you can even imagine. And then, obviously, the Chiefs, reigning Super Bowl champions. It'll be a really interesting game.
So I know you're a big Browns fan, too. How do you like the fact that the Browns get to host Dak Prescott and the Cowboys in week 1?
I'm really looking forward to that. Dallas didn't really do a whole lot in the offseason. The Browns, I think we're going to be healthier than ever starting the season. I'm really hoping we can have a good performance, and I believe that is going to be Tom Brady's first broadcasting performance. Am I right?
Yes, for Cleveland and Dallas, that will be the debut of Tom Brady. How do you think he does, man? I know he just released his top 5 quarterbacks. What are you thinking about Tom Brady and his performance in the booth?
Well, I mean, it's hard to say. I mean, we haven't really seen a whole lot yet, but I mean, there's no denying the talent. Obviously, Brady, pretty much not debatably, the best quarterback of all time, and I'm sure his mind is just built for it.
Who do you think wins that game? Cowboys and the Browns, like you mentioned. Cowboys didn't do a whole lot in the offseason, still kind of waiting on the verdict for what's going to be going on with CeeDee Lamb. And then when we look at the Cleveland Browns, a stingy defense. And then the question that maybe is a little tiresome at this point, is it going to be Deshaun Watson's team, or does maybe Jameis Winston or one of the other quarterbacks step up and take over?
Well, I think this isn't even biased. I think the Browns are they have, I think, less question marks going in. I think the Browns I think we have more momentum going into it. I think we should be able to pull out the win. But the problem is Deshaun Watson, obviously when we first got him, he was suspended for the first, 12 games. It was something like that. And ever since then, it's either he's just playing at a subpar level, or he finally gets going and then he gets hurt. And no matter which way you spin it, it's been really hard to justify that contract he's gotten. But I will definitely be curious to see if he can finally, get it going this season, stay healthy, and show that he's worth $230 million guaranteed dollars.
Yeah, he's a franchise quarterback during the regular season. It's just seeing if he can perform or is healthy in the postseason that sticks in the craw of all the Cowboys fans.
Yeah, we'll see what he can do.
Of course, the defense is stout, right? Pensacola's got a guy on the defensive side for the Cleveland Browns, right?
Martin Emerson.
Martin Emerson from Pensacola
He's been
Pine
fantastic.
Forest. That's right. Any other games maybe in the NFC South? I know the Panthers are going to be at the Saints. The Saints are favored by 4.5. The Steelers in Atlanta -3. And then, of course, the Buccaneers are dealing with Jeremy Reeves of Pensacola Catholic on special teams for the Go-Manders, is what I like to call them, Go-Manders, in Tampa. So any of those games jump out at you?
Definitely some interesting matchups. The Panthers and the Saints, I think the Saints easily will take that. The Panthers have just gotten worse. There's a lot of potential on that team, but they're not really doing a whole lot to help out Bryce Young and, get the rebuild going. The Commanders and Buccaneers, that could be interesting. It'll be interesting how Jaden Daniels does in his debut game, but the Buccaneers are really well put together. The Buccaneers, I think they'll just build on what they did last season. I'm very happy to see Baker Mayfield doing what he's doing. I think the Buccaneers should easily have that one.
And then Steelers at Atlanta, Falcons favored by 3 in a noon game.
That's also an interesting one.
You've got Russell Wilson, right? He's going to be under center for the Steelers.
Could be splitting time with Justin Fields, but I do think it'll be Russell Wilson.
I doubt it.
Right.
The Steelers, they just, every time it looks like they're going to kind of, fall off a little bit, they just always do something to get their team back on track. And I think adding Russell Wilson is going to legitimately, that'll get them back into easy playoff contention. Wilson, he kind of had a rough stint with the Broncos, but he was doing well in Denver until he had a fallout with Sean Payton and got benched. I think Wilson still has a lot in the tank, and I think he can really lead that Steelers team.
You think it's easy for the Steelers for their playoff chances out of what most would say is the toughest division in all of football?
AFC North definitely toughest division. I think towards the end of last season, I would think that the Steelers were going to kind of be the kind of the worst team in the division, but it's just so hard to tell now because they've made big additions with Russell Wilson and Patrick Queen. But every team in that division is just so stacked. It's almost impossible to tell who's going to be the leader.
Yeah, and it's interesting, too, because as a guy who, me personally, the latter years of Russell Wilson in Seattle, and, the chants are always, let Russ cook, and then he gets signed over there at Denver. Didn't work out with him at Nathaniel Hackett. Everyone's thinking that Sean Payton comes in, and that's just going to revive the career of Russell Wilson. And it didn't really work out that way. Now, he did have some signs of success, but Sean Payton and Russell Wilson kind of starting butting heads, as you mentioned there. I do kind of agree with you, though, that with a maybe a stronger mentality type coach of Mike Tomlin, I think that as long as Russell Wilson doesn't try to take over this squad and they are led by their backs, provided Jaylen Warren gets back there and Najee Harris does Najee Harris type things, then and the defense, you mentioned Patrick Queen, that's a huge addition there to the Steelers defense. I do agree with you that they could be back into the mix of the playoff situation, and the AFC North could be putting in 3 teams into the NFL playoffs next year, and the Steelers could be one of those. But Joe Burrow and the Bengals are going to have something to say about that.
No, the AFC North, honestly, especially this year with how each team has just improved. This could be the most dominant of history. If the Ravens can stay healthy, obviously Derrick Henry, he's had injury issues in the past, but if Lamar and Derrick can stay healthy and that offense keep playing how did last year and build on that, if the Steelers can get this new team going, if the Browns can just stay healthy for once this year and Deshaun Watson can get it going, if the Bengals can get back on track with a healthy Burrow, the AFC North might just genuinely be the best division ever.
Let me ask you real quick, Harley. Of course, this is the Afternoon Underdogs. David Hayes and Caveman Rick, Clifford Early. We're joined by Harley Thompson in Pensacola, an NFL pundit at Booker T High School. The 2 largest over-under spreads for the week 1 are going to be a noon game and the Sunday night game. Sunday night game is a 51.5 over and under. That's the Rams at the Lions, and see if the Rams are going to bounce back this year. And the other one is the Jaguars at the Dolphins at noon on that Sunday. It's a 49.5. Jaguars at Dolphins. We've got a lot of listeners that love those two teams. And, of course, we just talked to Dan the Man talking about the Lions and the Rams matchup. Either one of those games with those high offense projections jump out at you, Harley?
Well, the Jaguars and Dolphins is definitely going to be interesting. I mean, the Dolphins, I think they're still going to be one of the best teams in the AFC. That'll definitely be an interesting game.
Yeah, and the other one was Rams at Lions on Sunday night.
Rams at Lions on Sunday night?
Yeah.
I mean, the Lions are coming off, their best season in a very long time. I think the Lions have all the momentum in the world going into the season, and I think they're going to have a chip on their shoulder after the devastating loss to the Niners last year in the NFC Championship. The Rams, I think the Rams will be solid this year, but I still think they're kind of pick up some pieces. I think the Lions will definitely come out on top there.
Jordan Love, Tua, Trevor Lawrence, all of them just got the bag this past off season. Which of those quarterbacks do you think is in the best position to maybe make a deep run into the playoffs this year?
Let's see. We have Tua, we have Jordan, and you said Burrow?
No, Trevor Lawrence.
Trevor, yeah. I think that's tough. I think all three teams are in really good positions, but I think the Dolphins probably, they still, they're pretty much riding off what they had last year. The Dolphins have a very special roster. Tua is just continuing to improve, and I see no reason the Dolphins can't make a deep playoff run.
What's your confidence level, your faith level in the rookie, the highly touted rookie, in Caleb Williams over there with the Chicago Bears? Like, do you think that maybe the Bears get their first 4,000-yard passer ever in the history of a great franchise like that, or do you think that he's a bust?
Well, I think Caleb Williams is definitely talented, and we'll have to see how it translates to the NFL. But honestly, I'm fairly certain any quarterback in the NFL can put up solid numbers with the offense the Bears have built for him. They made key additions. They brought in Keenan Allen. They still have DJ Moore. They drafted Rome Odunze. They brought in DeAndre Swift. I mean, the Bears just completely did a 180 as far as their roster goes. Just a little over a year ago, we were looking at probably one of the least interesting offenses in the league, and now all of a sudden, you bring him with all these weapons. I mean, Caleb Williams, he's definitely set up for success. We'll have to see how that translates.
I agree with you. I love that take. I think it's spot on. I love what the Bears have done with the roster. Now will Caleb Williams be able to produce? Of the rookie wide receivers, that's one of the more interesting storylines headed into the season. Which rookie wide receiver are you the most excited about watching this year?
Honestly, he wasn't the highest one pick, but I think Xavier Worthy is going to be really interesting to see for the Chiefs. I mean, he was a little bit lower, I think, than expected, but Xavier Worthy, ridiculous speed. I mean, if he can get some reps in the Chiefs offense and he can get a connection with Mahomes, I mean, it could be insane.
Buffalo Bills losing Stephon Diggs, going to the Texans.
Yeah.
They do get Keon Coleman over there, but there's really no other wide receivers to necessarily speak about after they lost Gabe Davis to the Jacksonville Jaguars via free agency. Well, what do you think about that situation in Buffalo?
Look, one, I love Keon Coleman, love my Knowles, but I think Keon Coleman, he'll be great over there. But, I mean, the Bills, they just lost pretty much everything, at least offensively. I don't know what Josh Allen's going to do, but, I mean, he lost his number one target, in Stephon Diggs. Gabe Davis also, he went to Jacksonville, right?
Yeah, Gabe Davis? Yeah, Jacksonville.
So, Josh Allen, he's pretty much, he has some pretty bare bones offensive weapons, and I think the Bills are definitely going to take a pretty steep decline this season. I don't think they're going to be terrible, but Josh Allen can't carry the entire offense on his back. I'd expect a lot of turnovers from the offense.
That means they're going to lose their coach and they're going to have to rebuild around Josh Allen.
Yep,
for sure. Hey, we're going to switch gears a little bit as we're running out of time, Harley. Really enjoy Harley Thompson joining us here on the Afternoon Underdogs. You mentioned you're a Seminole as well when Keon Coleman to the Bills came up. How excited are you about this game in Dublin in less than 3 days? And what's your projection for how well DJU is going to do and if Florida State's going to establish that run game?
I'm really excited. Going into Georgia, going into Ireland to play Georgia Tech, it should be a good game. I think for FSU. Of course, we lost a lot of key players in the draft, but I mean, the recruiting was great this season. We've always, or at least as of late, we've had a stellar run game. I don't see any reason we shouldn't be able to handle Georgia Tech.
I agree with you. They've got talent. They've got speed. Their quarterback is dangerous. They've got a 1,000-yard rusher, and they got speed on the outside, maybe 6 receivers that can do something, but defense was worst in like all of college football, at least the power conferences last year, that secondary. And they've rebuilt it, but I think Florida State's just going to wear them out. It might be close in the beginning, but they're going to pull away. I like it kind of, I think, what have I said before? I think I like
34, 20?
I'm going a little higher. I think I'm going 40.
Ooh,
40,
I like
40
that.
to 20, which changes. That means I'm also looking at the over. So we'll see. I think they're going to pound away. Gouge away.
I'll be excited to see if ukulele can get it going. I'm curious to see how we'll do in a new environment.
Yes, definitely.
Give me a player on the offense that you're watching outside of DJU and a player on the defense that you're excited to watch this year for your Knowles.
Ooh,
it's a long list for me.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
I'd like to see Roy Dell Williams, the transfer from Alabama.
You think he splits carries with Cam Davis, or is it going to be Roy Dell Williams, running back by committee? What do you think, Cliff?
Well, I think Lawrence will be the number 2 RB, and then there's some debate whether it's going to be Cam Davis or it's going to be Keziah Holmes that is back number 3. It's going to be mostly Lawrence Toafili and Roy Dale Williams. And then, of course, you've got Sean Singleton and then Jalen Lucas, the speedster transfer from Indiana. So, but that offensive line, we had 206 career starts last year. And Phil Steele says, I've never seen a number like that as long as I've been covering. This year, our career starts for the offensive line falls all the way down to 190. No team with 100 career starts and their top 5 starting offensive line has ever missed a playoff, so to speak. So, and they got 10. They're 10 deep at the offensive line. So it's kind of exciting.
Yeah.
Can y'all hear me now?
Yeah.
Sorry, my phone was cutting out a little bit.
Right.
So for the offense, there's a lot of names, but honestly, mainly I'd say Toafili. I'm really excited to see how he does. I feel like he hasn't really gotten the full extent of the spotlight in the rushing game because we've just had so much versatility. But I'm really hoping Toafili will get more of a chance this year because, I mean, he made some incredible plays over the past couple of years for us. And, I mean, I think he can really be great. And also, Ja'Kai Douglas.
Yeah, Ja'Kai Douglas, number 0, that lines up in the slot. He's the brother of Jalen Lucas that came from Indiana.
Oh, really?
And he had some really big spots. But he's been hot or cold, don't you think, Harley?
Yeah, a little bit. But honestly, I think especially I think towards the end of last season, the more I saw of him, the more I was impressed. And I think the more of a role he has in the receiving game, the more potential we might have for some bigger plays out of him.
I think so, too. I think he'll get involved very early, especially if we're able to establish the run, for sure. Like to see Lawrence Toafili maybe win that Polynesian Player of the Year award for college football. Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, is Florida State going to be wearing the aqua uniforms? You
mean the Seminole blue?
Seminole blue. Is that what it is? Seminole blue. You don't like those, Cliff?
It's not my favorite. It's starting to grow on me a little bit. I mean, I've got some Seminole blue shorts that I tried to wear at the Seminole kickoff when Jeff Cameron from WarChant.com was over in Pensacola last week. And a great guy. A great time we had over there. But the blue, I actually sent him an email today, and I'm still waiting for a response because I want them to go in classics. I want them to wear their classic white with the gold and garnet feather trim, the gold lid, the gold pants, and then take 4 or 5 pairs of boots for the pitch because you don't know what the conditions are going to be.
Right, yeah.
That's crazy. Because they said today on the radio show, it's low 60s, little breeze makes it upper 50s, and they practiced yesterday, in the heat and humidity. So they've only got 2 days to acclimate. However, and I thought about that. I was like, that's a bad idea.
Yeah.
I'm like, well, wait a second. How much time do they have to acclimate when they go to Notre Dame at the beginning of November, and Notre Dame hadn't had a home game in a month?
Yeah.
So I think it's the right idea. I just hope they take all the right shoes, man. That's a key. I think women and men, but especially these football players, I hope they have sensible shoes. So, yeah.
There you go. Well, Harley T, man, it was awesome having you on. And how do you think Booker T. Washington does over there in high school football this year?
Ooh, better?
Cool. Yeah, definitely. Hopefully better.
Hopefully better.
Yeah. When you're coming off the floor, anything up is progress.
I can't say anything. I'm not in any shape to be playing football for my team. So.
Hey, there you go. Well, we appreciate your time, my man.
Thanks, Harley.
I appreciate the opportunity. It's been a while since I've done it, so I hope I did solid.
You were great.
Yes,
you
were.
I really appreciate it.
Awesome. Thanks. Harley Thompson in Pensacola. We're talking NFL with him and a little bit of Florida State. We'll come back and we'll talk some more about the Atlanta Braves, what they're looking for tonight, as well as another whip around college football. We'll be right back on the Afternoon Underdogs.
ESPN Northwest Florida. We're the radio home of the Mosley Dolphins.
We're going under the lights this Friday night as the Mosley Dolphins kick off the season versus the Rutherford Rams. Listen to David and Kyle for live play-by-play from Tommy Oliver Stadium. Coverage starts at 6:45. Mosley Dolphin football is sponsored by Panama City Toyota, Orthopedic Specialists, Chapman Wealth Management, and ESPN Northwest Florida.
Good evening. This is Joanna on ESPN Northwest Florida with your forecast on this Wednesday. Clear skies tonight with a light breeze out of the east around 7 miles per hour, and look for the low to be 76. Tomorrow morning, there will be sunshine with the temperature reaching 87. A possibility of thunderstorms and partly sunny in the afternoon and evening with a high of 90. Friday will have a high of 86 and a possibility of thunderstorms. This weather is brought to you by Earthworks of Northwest Florida. Thank you for tuning into ESPN Northwest Florida. Rely on it.
Man, is it hot. Not only is the weather hot, the savings on name brand Western wear at that boot store is sizzling. During their 60th anniversary celebration going on now. Shop the hot deals in air conditioning comfort and be amazed at the tremendous selections of Carhartt work clothes and Western wear available at that boot store. Open Tuesday through Thursday, 9 till 5. Friday and Saturday, 9 until 5:30. Next to Bill Burkey at 15th Street, Panama City. That boot store where God is good all the time.
In the jewelry business, there is no substitute for experience. David Adamson has over 46 years of experience, 32 of those in Lynn Haven. Designing and creating fine jewelry is more than a job for David, it's a joy. If you're looking for a spectacular jewelry design that says you, or perhaps you need your jewelry repaired, look no further than David Adamson Designer Jewelry. All work is done in-house and always to your complete satisfaction. Stop in today at David Adamson Designer Jewelry, 830 Ohio Avenue in Lynn Haven. They're on Facebook and at tcjeweler.com.
Karen bought 83 liters of Dr. Thunder, a suitcase full of Cheez-Its, and a drum of Crisco. Now she's crying about using the self-check at Walmart.
Maybe we should speak to a manager or something.
Just saying. ESPN Northwest Florida.
Welcome back here in the doghouse. This is the Afternoon Underdogs. You're tuned into ESPN Northwest Florida, 104.3 right here in Panama City, and 101.9 in Port St. Joe. You can call or text us 850-215-6290. Especially text in here in this next segment as we've got one of my favorite guests to have on with us, Coach Andy Siegel. Coach Siegel, my man, what is going on with you on this beautiful Wednesday afternoon?
Man, we're in the dog pound, so I got to give you there you go.
Man, great to have you on with us. But first, before we, dive into some high school football, college football, and all of that good stuff, probably take you with us to the end of the show if you have time for it today. Bear Siegel selected to wrestle over there in Bahrain for the United States, representing the U.S. of A. on the 17U national wrestling team. First, tell us what that just means to Bear and to yourself.
I mean, it was like one of those holy cow moments. Like we didn't talk to, like they had talked to us about it when Bear wrestled the kid from the Olympic team from Mexico. In a Greco match, someone had said, hey, would he be interested in being on the U.S. 17U team if there's an opening, trying out for it? And Bear, I guess, told him, yeah. And I overheard the conversation. I was talking to the Mexican coaches, so I didn't really hear what the conversation was about. I'm like, what was that? He goes, something about wrestling for the U.S. I didn't hear. And I said, oh, okay, Bear. So we just kind of didn't pay attention to it. And then we had been at another tournament, and Bear was wrestling for actually the Canadian national team because they had a kid hurt. So they pulled Bear off of another team, pulled him in. He wrestled for them and went 13-1. So the coach was like, hey, is he wrestling in the ISF games, which is the International School Sport Federation games, which is basically Olympics for high school? And I said, we don't know anything about that. He said, well, he needs to be on the U.S. team, or we didn't know anything about it. So then someone sent me something to fill out that you had to fill out an application if you're interested. So I filled it out. I mean, I didn't even really read it. And then the next thing I know, our buddy from Pennsylvania calls and says, hey, congrats. Bear made a team. I go, Bear made what team? He said, well, my son Ned made it, and I figured Ned's three-time national champ. Probably is going to make that team. And I said, made what team? He said, the AAU 17U U.S. national team. I said, I don't think about it. He said, well, Ned got the call this morning. He goes, they told him Bear's in. I said, nobody's called us. We hung up the phone. I'm sitting there. I'm like, well, they ain't calling. I said, must be wrong. And they made 15 minutes later, I get a phone call. Can I speak to Bear Siegel? And I said, yeah, hold on. Who is this? And they told me. I said, well, so I handed them the phone, and I go, Bear, they want to talk to you. So I put it on speaker so I could hear. And Bear got done, hung up, and we both got pretty excited. It was pretty, I mean, that's amazing when you get to represent your country in a foreign country in a national or world event, and then not just representing your country, but representing Florida, representing the Panhandle, representing Panama City. That's huge because kids up here in the Panhandle, they don't get those opportunities.
Yeah, what are some of the things that he's going to be able to do while he's over there?
Wrestle. No, they're flying from here to Chicago for training camp, Chicago to what's that country? Qatar for a layover, and they do a little tour in Qatar, and then from Qatar they go to Bahrain. In Bahrain, they got a couple practice sessions, then they're going to wrestle. But while they're there, they get to learn about the culture. They have mandatory study all 2.5 hours a day because they're all kids in school. They got tutors on the trip, but they're going to get to see things. And I know they've got a Marine Corps detail that's going with them, so they're going to be traveling around with them a little bit, for security. And they're going to get to compete against, I don't know how many different countries, like 20, 30 of them.
I think there's 40 nations in this.
Yeah, 40 nations. I just know the two he's got circled and targeted that he wants a piece of. So,
ooh, there we go. Can we? Who are those two nations that he's got that they've got the target on their back, if you will?
Iran and Russia.
Not surprised. So Russia's one of the nations in this particular event.
They are, and the Bears going after the Bears because Russia's are the Bears.
Yeah.
And this Bear wants a piece of their Bears.
One of 60 athletes is Bear Siegel right here from Panama City, Florida. So this is huge for Bear. And Coach, if you want to, I would love to have him on the show with us if we can make that happen. I know it's tough with school, and I'm sure he's got a lot of training. But also,
he's at football practice.
Oh, he's at football practice. Yeah. So, oh my goodness!
You forgot, man. He starts both ways for North Bay Haven in football.
Yeah. What positions is he playing offensively and defensively this year?
I think he's a fullback on offense, and defense he's a linebacker.
Oh, how do you feel about that? The position of fullback still being utilized in high school football.
I was teasing him. I'm going to give him a leather helmet I got sitting here at the house. I'm going to practice tomorrow. See if anybody says anything. And I told him, I said, because he showed me a poster somebody had made, bring back the fullback, and he thinks that's cool. And I said, ain't nobody running a fullback. I said, unless you're at a military academy. I said, that's a dead position. That's like speaking Latin. Nobody cares. Come on now.
Hey, there you go. I mean, we felt last year that the position of running back was essentially dead, the way that the NFL running backs were complaining about their contracts. But, Coach, this isn't a cheap trip for Bear to be making. What's a way that, he can help reach his goal in fundraising? Can people maybe help out with a check, or do you have Venmo? What's some ways that maybe some of our listeners could help?
And it's all 100% tax deductible because it's a government thing, AAU. So I can get you the information to put up on the website, but if they want to reach out to me, they can get hold of me, and Andy Siegel 44 at gmail.com, and I can get them the information. But they want to Venmo the check. They can drop a check off at North Bay Haven. They can drop it off at your guys' studio. Just put it in touch with Bear Siegel and make the checks out to either AAU Wrestling or make it out to Andy Siegel because Bear doesn't have a bank account. And then I'll get them make sure they have a way I can reach them back so I can get them the receipt because everything I get is tax deductible. I know we're trying to reach out to some companies because there's still a pretty big chunk left we've got to get. We don't have a lot of time left because the final payment's got to be September 15th, I think, or 14th. So we're kind of running out of time, and it's getting close, and then we still got to book the flights to Chicago for training camp and all that. So it's getting close. We're getting a little worried, but I got faith that somehow, some way, they'll step up. It just stinks because we just raised all this money we could to go to Fargo for nationals in North Dakota, and then we had to raise money all year for all these national, not international events. So I'm like, okay, we're done, we're good, and all of a sudden this thing pops up. I'm like, oh boy, well, here we go. And then it's during football season, so it's like, how do you train when you're in the middle of football season? That's kind of tough. But he bless his heart, he's going to football practice, he's going to wrestling practice, he's going to weights in the morning, he's going to school, he's doing his homework, and cutting the grass. He's been working on farms for people that needed to pay some money to him. He's been cutting people's grass. He's been refereeing little kids wrestling tournaments. We've been selling sports memorabilia. I know Caveman knows that.
Yep.
I've been trying to sell some stuff out of here just to pay for this thing because we're trying to, not bother as many people as we can. But if anybody could help out, man, we'd really appreciate it.
Yeah, Venmo is at Andrew-Siegel-2. That's ANDREW-SIEGAL-2. So definitely try to help out if you can. I mean, he's representing the United States, going to a foreign country, going to be representing our country here against 40 other nations, and I just think that's one of the coolest things to come out of here.
Hey, and not only Bear, man, he got another boy that's just rocking and rolling, man, and like knocking it down, man, over out by my old neck of woods out by Philadelphia, man. Austin's killing it, man, working over at Temple, and before we got on, Andy was telling me some stuff, and really proud of that kid too, man.
Yeah, no doubt.
One of our own over here, man, working here at the station.
And he knows the real cheesesteak places now too.
Pat's and Gino's, Joe.
No, he said don't go there.
Oh, really? He doesn't want to go there, huh? Tony Luke's?
He said that's tourist. He said you got to go to. He named me some other place.
Okay.
He's been to a Phillies game, and he said he's geeked up. He's going to get to go to a Flyers game and an Eagles game, so he's fired up.
Awesome, man.
That is
excited
awesome.
for a kid.
Yeah, I chatted with him a little bit ago, or a couple of weeks ago. Excited to be looking for him this year again, and I guess he's in a little bit of a different position over there with Temple, but very impressive stuff. Coach,
you know who they open up with, though, right?
Who are they opening up with this year?
Boomer Sooner.
Oh, man.
They got a tough schedule. Like, I was seeing something on ESPN, I believe, the other day where, they projected to be, I think a bottom 10 team. Like, across the whole country is what they're projected as. But so hopefully that's not the case.
He said they're winning 8 games.
Let's go.
Well, you got to have confidence if you're a coach. Ain't that right, Coach?
I guess so.
I guess so. Well, let's talk a little bit about some high school football while we got you on the line with this, the Battle of the Bridge. We had a couple of mayors on with us, Mayor Rowan and Mayor Teddimer. They've got a little wager that they're putting on with a dinner between each other. Who do you like in Bay and Arnold? Give us a little breakdown.
Well, I want to know, is Manly going to line up on Hale before the game and have a little scrimmage too?
I would love to see that.
Nice.
I don't think so. Maybe not this particular year. Maybe they save that for next year just because of the honoring that they'll be doing for the 2003 Arnold Marlins team.
There's the fundraiser. That's how we raise the money for this trip.
There you go.
There you go.
But I mean, what a great way to start the season off right there. You know, Arnold's had a rough year last year. Only scored 12 total points. Went 0-9, I think. Went through a coaching change. Brought Griffin. Griff's got a high-powered offense. They got a quarterback that can throw it around a little bit. They got a couple of kids. I think they can run it. So I think they're going to be a little more balanced than what people anticipate. It sounds like they got some size on their line. And then Bay's got a 7'2", I swear to God, wide receiver. I know he's only 6'9", but he might as well be 7'2".
Right.
Yeah, he's been offered by everybody. I don't know if Temple offered him yet. If not, they're behind the 8 ball. But I mean, everybody else has offered him, and the kid's amazing. So he causes a matchup problem. But the problem is the guy on the other side who transferred from Rutherford. He's a speed guy. So then you take those two out of the mix. You got 2-3 good running backs. The Bay has their line is thick and experienced. They got a two-headed quarterback system. It's going to be explosive. There's going to be 2 offenses getting after it out there.
All right. We're not going to have you make any picks for these particular games just because...
I can't because they'll all try to kill me.
Yeah, exactly. And I think you're going to be doing a little pre-gaming with us here at the studio this year?
Friday at 6 o'clock.
There we go, man. Nice. I am excited. Coach Brian Haddad, Coach Andy Siegel, going to be getting you ready for a kickoff over there. They're going to be previewing all of the high school games, and then they'll kick it over to myself and Kyle Wright for the Mosley and Rutherford game. So let's go to that game next, Coach. Mosley and Rutherford, what should we expect from that game? Coach Nuke Floyd has been doing a great job rebuilding Rutherford. Coach Tommy Joe Whidden has been doing an awesome job with Mosley as well. What are the expectations for this crosstown rivalry?
And I was telling Floyd the other day, I said, what I really think, just watching a little bit of, I've actually got to watch film on that one. I think it's the most physical team I think is going to win that game, and it's so cliche about who makes the least amount of mistakes, but really in this case, Rutherford can't turn the ball over. They've got to control the football and come out physical. Mosley, on paper should be able to control the line of scrimmage. They got more depth, but I don't know that they're bigger. I think both those guys got pretty big offensive lines, pretty big defensive lines. So I think it's going to be an interesting battle. Both of them got pretty good young linebackers. Fleming over at Mosley's, he's going to take somebody's head off. He's a heck of a football player. And then, Mosley's got that defensive end, Radin, who's committed to Rutgers. They're going to have to account for him. I think he's kind of the big key factor in this ball game. Can the Rutherford offensive tackles keep him out of the backfield? Because if they can't, it's going to be a long day for Rutherford. If they can, this can be an amazing game to go to.
Absolutely. I am looking forward to it again. The rebuilding for Rutherford last year, the game wasn't particularly close at all. Do the turnovers, Mosley did shut out South Walton in the kickoff classic 58-0, right, but they also turned the ball over 5 times, and a few of those times happening in the red zone. Are those worrisome for Sammy Freitas and the Mosley Dolphins?
Yeah, that's something. Mosley has got to protect that football. Sammy's experienced quarterback. He's probably the most experienced in the county right now. And, I've been bragging on him since the day he got that starting spot. If you remember, you and me were doing that game.
Yeah.
And I kept saying, that's the guy right there. I don't know who that guy is, but that's the guy with Sammy Freitas. I was like a Sammy Freitas fan. I got a T-shirt that says, Go Sammy Go, and all that. And, the guy can sling the rock, and he's got to now clean up, polish it up a little bit, throw that football a little tighter. Don't try to force it into some windows, and clean up the run mesh a little bit. Tommy Joe's working on that, and they're going to be fine. It's going to be a great. I mean, every game so far we talked about is like, wow,
Yeah, we've got a lot of great games here in the county, and another one, North Bay Haven hosting the Bulldogs of Freeport. So, what do you think about that game between the Bucks and the Bulldogs?
I'm a big Freeport fan. I know Sean Arns for a while. He's a Southern Miss guy, so Golden Eagles to the top. And, I think he's still mad about us hanging 40 on him my last year. Sorry, Sean. But you should have learned how to stop the pop pass. But anyways, I think Freeport's got a big 6'5" wide receiver who causes a matchup problem, and that's going to be a problem for the North Bay Haven corners because they're not tall guys. They're good, talented, tough kids. But, I mean, it's just a physical matchup, so what you got to do is almost walk a safety over the top, which would probably be Connolly Forehand walking over the top of them. And then the problem is now you're playing two guys over one, so they're playing 10 on 9. There's a match problem somewhere. And what Freeport's got to do is find that matchup and get it. North Bay Haven, Coach Elliott does a great job disguising defenses. If he can get some pressure on the Freeport quarterback, this could be a great football game, and hopefully the fullback holds on to the football, doesn't fumble it, and they'll be all right.
What kind of things are we hearing about our friends over there listening on 101.9 in Port St. Joe? The Tiger Sharks are going to be visiting Wakulla. What do we know about that game, Coach?
I'm going to tell you what. If I wasn't staying in town to watch a game, that's a game I'd buy a ticket for. Honestly, Wakulla's hurting and when I say Wakulla's hurting, it means they're mere mortals now. Yeah. They lost 5-6 kids that transfers over to Tallahassee. So, that brings them not down to earth, but from a superpower to just a power. And Port St. Joe, I think, is having maybe one of the better teams they've had. They are gigantic. I don't even know if that's a word, but they're gigantic. They're talking about their running back, how big he is. And they were talking about he's not big. I'm like, my God, he's as big as a lineman. He's like Brandon Jacobs Jr. They got him in the backfield, and the guy can run. I'm telling you, Port St. Joe is the one better. Forget Madison County this year. Port St. Joe's got it.
Sneeds is going to be hosting Cottondale. Now, they had one of the more electric running backs over the last 2 seasons last year, and Jason Patterson. He's going to be at Kentucky this year. How does Cottondale match up with Sneeds?
Well, Bill, I know, has got a young running back. He doesn't want me to tell you that. I'm about to tell you he's got a young running back that can get it, too. So, Cottondale was one of the top 10 scoring offenses in the state of Florida last year. I don't think a lot of people realize that.
Yeah, under the radar.
They're way underneath the radar. It's like they can put points on people. Their defense was young last year. They got to get better. This is going to be – Cottondale's actually probably got the older team out of the two. But I just feel like it's probably a 1-2 point ball game right there. Can Cottondale stop the Sneeds run game? Can Sneeds slow down the Cottondale offense? That's the whole key right there.
Coach, I want to take a quick break if you got some time for us. I got 2 more high school games, and then we can wrap it up with some college football.
Yeah, no problem.
All right, you guys are riding with the Afternoon Underdogs. This is ESPN Northwest Florida. We're going to keep it rolling with Coach Siegel when we return. We'll be right back, y'all. Keep it locked in here to ESPN Northwest Florida.
ESPN Northwest Florida, your home for Mike Greenberg.
The CD Lamb of it all. He's going to get hurt. He will show up the week before the first game. Oh, you know what? We're going to have him on the field. Boom, it's a hamstring. I saw it with Darrell Revis. I'll never forget it. He's chasing Randy Moss. Next thing you know, he's grabbing his hamstring. His whole season was defined by that injury. It's 3 weeks. Now he's coming back. Oh, now he's aggravated it. Now he's coming back. This is what happens when skill position players miss this much game.
Greeny. Weekdays on ESPN Northwest Florida.
Good evening. This is Joanna on ESPN Northwest Florida with your forecast on this Wednesday. Clear skies tonight with a light breeze out of the east around 7 miles per hour, and look for the low to be 76. Tomorrow morning, there will be sunshine with the temperature reaching 87. A possibility of thunderstorms and partly sunny in the afternoon and evening with a high of 90. Friday we'll have a high of 86 and a possibility of thunderstorms. This weather is brought to you by Earthworks of Northwest Florida. Thank you for tuning into ESPN Northwest Florida. Rely on it.
Hello, this is Rick Vossen with RV of Panama City, your local Stormore portable building dealer, located 2241 East Baldwin Road. Hey, we got the back-to-school sales on now through the end of August. Make sure you come see me. We can build that shed if you need to customize it. If not, we've got them in stock. RV of Panama City, your local Stormore portable building dealer, 2241 East Baldwin Road, Panama City.
Los Rancheros has been doing it right for 20 years. Los Rancheros brings a top-shelf dining experience to you with the opening of their beautiful new building. Watch all college and pro games on Los Rancheros' 14 large-screen TVs with great drink specials daily from 2 to 5 and during all the games. Los Rancheros, the place for live sports and great food on 23rd Street between Jenks and Harrison.
You think you've been on your grind? The 11-year-old cashier at the Gin Gin puts in more hours than you.
Do any of you people do any actual work?
Just saying.
We might need to work on your sales pitch.
Less work and more play.
All right, show's over. Everybody back to work.
Now back to the Afternoon Underdogs, ESPN Northwest Florida.
We are back in the doghouse. This is the Afternoon Underdogs, and you're listening to ESPN Northwest Florida. David Hayes along with Clifford Early and Caveman Rick. We are your home for not just the Auburn Tigers, not just the Mosley Dolphins, but also the Atlanta Braves. Cover starting tonight right after the Afternoon Underdogs. First pitch tonight at 6:20. Max Fried on the bump for the Bravos. Aaron Nola going for those Phillies. What's your score prediction for tonight, Caveman Rick? Let's go over under 6.5.
Oh, it's going to be over 6.5.
Over 6.5.
The Phillies alone.
8-ish?
The Phillies alone will get over the 6.5. They'll get 7.
Wow, it sounds like they're going to fry Freed.
Yeah, I'm going.
I'm hoping anyway.
I'm going to take the under again, man.
I'm just thinking
I'm gonna say it's going to be
all those strikeouts yesterday, man, and all those like hitless
13
Phillies.
total, yeah.
And you're like, I mean, we're a murder's row, right? So how are you going to hold all those guys hitless again? So yeah.
Yeah, the total is actually at 7.5 tonight. Bay and Mosley, they'll be over there at Mosley tonight. This is high school volleyball. Mosley hosting Bay tonight at 6 p.m. North Bay Haven hosting Rutherford, and Port St. Joe is going to be hosting Gadsden County. The scores from last night: Liberty County shut out Weewaw 3-0. North Bay Haven shut out Bluntstown 3-0. Pensacola Christian over Laurel Hill 3-0. Chipley with a shutout over Holmes County 3-0. Niceville shutting out Fort Walton Beach 3-0. Arnold with a 3-1 win over Sneads, and then Bay beating Walton 3-2. Port St. Joe shutting out Rutherford 3-0. Don't forget the Mosley Dolphins and the Rutherford Rams right here on ESPN Northwest Florida. Your home for the Mosley Dolphins this Friday, and we'll get you to kickoff at 7 p.m. But prior to that, it's going to be Coach Siegel and Coach Brian Haddad for the pregame show, and we've got Coach Andy Siegel on the line with us. Coach Siegel, thanks for holding on.
Oh, no problem. I just went outside to go chase dogs.
There you go. Well, with two of the other games I wanted to ask you about was Vernon. Coach Tillman doing a great job over there. What do you think about Vernon and Jay this coming Friday?
Okay, well, Jay's a physical football team. They got another tall wide receiver over there. They're going to be in that, I guess you'd call it a pistol gun offense. A little sniffer back hiding in there, and it's a good football team. Lauren does a great job over at Vernon. He just got over there, and the work they've done in the weight room is amazing. It's going to be a good football game. I'm definitely going the Vernon win right there, though.
All right, and then Graceville visiting Weewaw also at 7 p.m. What can you tell us about this game?
Is Graceville playing? I thought they canceled.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, no, that's right. So I guess Weewaw
wins that one. 2-0.
Hey, Coach, there you go, man. Great call. So then I'll get to another one here. How about Niceville? Do they continue their run of dominance here in the Panhandle?
They've lost some guys mysteriously to transfer. What they used to do to others is happening to them. So I think they might be coming back to the pack. I think Bozeman's playing Holmes, though, aren't they?
Bozeman is oh yeah, how did I get away from that one? Yeah, Bozeman, Holmes County.
Look at me.
Hey, there you go. Hey, that's why you're the pregame guy, Coach.
Bozeman Holmes is a good football game. That I call that a backyard rivalry, even though they're not backyard. They might as well be. And I'm gonna tell you what, both teams are kind of rodeo schools. It's going to be a rodeo battle right there. Holmes is extremely physical, hard-nosed team. They won a lot of football games. Bozeman's won a lot of football games. Most of those kids aren't there. But I think they've got enough weapons. They've got Peyton Gay's younger brother at quarterback who can really sling the rock around. They got some pretty good weapons over there. I'm interested to see how Jaden Spurlock does in the backfield running that football. He did a good job over at North Bay Haven. I'm sure he'll do a good job over there. It'll be interesting to see. I don't know Coach Sweat, but I've heard a lot of great things about him. So this is going to be interesting. I'm hoping Bozeman wins. I think it's going to be a great football game.
Yeah, I was going to ask you which coach kind of has the tougher rebuild, if you will. Coach Elliott over there at North Bay Haven, which I believe you filled in for him for the Kickoff Classic, didn't you? Okay, we're never going. All right, we'll get off of that real quick. Coach Elliott, who's got the tougher rebuild? You were there. Coach Elliott at North Bay Haven or Coach Sweat over there at Bozeman? Which job do you think is a little bit of a tougher rebuild?
I really think North Bay Haven's going to be a little bit tougher for Coach Elliott, and he's the guy to do it 100%. But, they lost 27 seniors that all transferred out either to Arnold. Well, Arnold or both. Most of them went to Bozeman, but a few went to Arnold. So the key players, a bunch of starters, that hurts. So you lose your depth. But he's got some young kids that are really working hard and gung-ho, and it's going to be interesting. I think Coach Sweat really has a thing where they all can play together and kind of build some unity and cohesion. They may not miss a beat from last year, really, to be honest. Now, stepping up a level, I don't know. They went from 1A to 2A, which used to be 3A.
Yeah.
So we'll see what happens there. But again, Tom's got a tough situation. The kids are working hard. He's doing a great job. The school's doing a great job. So I think he's going to be fine. But his is probably on paper a tougher job. But I think he can handle it.
There you go. Well, Coach, thanks for helping us wrap up or get ready for some high school football. How about on the college football side of things? Those Florida State Seminoles going to be over there in Dublin, Ireland, and they'll be the road team in a neutral site game against the Georgia Tech Yellow Jackets. Well, who do you like in this game? Florida State, 10.5-point favorite. Do you think Georgia Tech, Brent Key, do they have an opportunity for the upset in this game?
I think the biggest help for Georgia Tech is that flight. Both those teams had to travel out. Both of them going to be out of their sorts. If this was played in Tallahassee, if it's played in Atlanta, that 10.5 is a solid deal, and Florida State wins this football game. I'm not saying Florida State's not winning, but I'm saying this is going to be a closer game just because of the environment, just because you're in a weird site. Playing college football, like I'm old school, college football does not need to be played out of the United States of America, period, bar none. This was stupid, and I'll just keep saying it till the cows come home, and I'm not in the NCAA anymore, so I can say what I want. That was the NCAA trying to get some money.
Oh, all right. I guess I don't blame you on that at all. I think it's kind of a fun ordeal, especially I don't know, Notre Dame playing over there makes a lot of sense, but I wish that they would
Notre Dame does make sense. I don't think there's any Seminole Indians running around Dublin, and
there are today. There are this week.
Yeah, there's a whole bunch of them running around with those pints in their hands and stuff and going crazy. But, it's a great trip for the alumni. It's a great trip for the boosters. This will be a cool little bowl game. You want to put a bowl game in a situation like that? I'm for it. This is the beginning of the season. They're starting classes. They got another game in a week. Come on now. This was not this is stupid.
Yeah, it is. I mean, coming up next for Florida State, just right around the corner, right? Boston College in week 1. But at least they kind of get a few days because that game will be played on Labor Day.
Right.
Yeah, true. But, look at the poor operations guy and the travel guy and all that stuff. Bless their heart, they had to work all this out. Okay, we got to get meals here. We got to get pregame thing here. We got to get a flight there. We don't forget we're going to have jet lag after being on a plane for like 7,000 hours.
Not student athletes anymore. Now they're getting paid. Now they're, employees. They're, minor leaguers.
PSA, paid student athletes.
Yep.
This is, I get it. Try to make everybody happy. But come on, man. I want to go to this game. I'll go put it in Tallahassee. I'll go watch it.
Let me ask you this, though. Who do you have winning the whole shebang? And because you sent me a text message earlier, I didn't know if you were being facetious or not. Who do you have winning this year? Okay, all right. Well, so who do you have winning the whole thing this year?
My gut tells me Georgia. But my other side of my gut, because I have a big gut. I don't know why I'm saying this, but Texas.
Oh, so 2 SEC teams there. What about the ACC? Who comes out of the ACC this year? Who wins? Not just go to the college football playoff, but who wins?
I'm giving you my 2 sleeping dogs. One's not really a sleeping dog. Miami, looks like they are mad at the world. And whenever Miami's mad, watch out. They win a lot of football, and they've been getting disrespected. Mario Cristobal is Miami. And when you disrespect the old school Canes, which guess what he is, old school Cane, things happen. They've got some pretty good recruiting classes. They got some really good players there. They've got some transfers in there. Miami's one to watch, and I just think everybody is sleeping on Clemson right now, and I just don't think you should. And the other one I'm going to say, and nobody's talking about this one, Wake Forest got two of the most experienced quarterbacks in the nation. They're both 6-year seniors. And the one kid, I forgot his name, came from Boise State. Shoot, he was one of Austin's teammates. And here's how old the guy is. He was Austin's teammate in junior high football.
How about
in California. And I forgot his name to save my life right now. Boise State, Louisiana Tech, and then transferred in there. He's like a 20th year senior. And heck of a guy. And then the kid they had there, the one quarterback is actually older than the guy they got in the NFL, and the other guy came in with the guy they got in the NFL.
Hank
Hank.
Oh, yeah, because he was a starter for Boise State when they played, I believe it was Florida State a few years ago, right?
Yes.
No
and
way,
Hank,
same dude.
Yeah.
Hank and Austin were teammates, and true story, in California. And so I've known Hank and his dad forever, like, they're great people. And the other kid, he came in the same year Hank Bachmeier did. That kid came in at Wake Forest, and he's been sitting there, and he got hurt last year. Big, rocked-up-looking, Tebow-looking joker who can throw the football. So they got two of those guys that got really big receivers that can run. I kind of like Wake Forest. I was watching a little ACC special on them, and I really kind of like them.
What about the Big 12? I feel like that's one of the more interesting conferences this year. Who do you like out of that conference?
Why is everybody forgetting Kansas State's in the Big 12? That's
Avery
my biggest
Johnson
question.
over there, too.
I mean, nobody's like, hey, by the way, guys, Kansas State is like consistently winning and doing well. They're tough. K-State's one to watch out for. Obviously, Oklahoma State's going to be really, really, really good. And then the other one I'm kind of liking is Iowa State.
Ooh, Iowa State cycloning their way maybe to a Big 12 victory.
Yeah, because nobody's talking about them, and they've been consistently right there, and just something's happened. It's like they're right there, and something happens. I think this is their year.
Let's go up north to that Big 10. How many teams do you think?
The Big 30.
There you go, the Big 30. How many teams do you think actually have a realistic chance of winning that conference outside of Ohio State and Oregon?
I mean, outside those two?
Yeah. Does Michigan and Penn State, do they have a chance?
Okay, the blue and yellow one has a shot at it. The black and white one probably. I mean, I'm a Big Ten guy. I can't be calling those names out. Go Illini. So, anyways, I think it's Ohio State's belt. They got the championship belt. And what did Ric Flair say? To be the man, you got to beat the man. So guess what? Until someone takes that from them, I don't see it happening. I know Michigan won the national championship, but did they really? And I know Michigan, Eddie's going to start calling in here, raising heck. But at the end of the day, when you cheat like that, and they got caught, and they proved it, that was a flash in the pan. Ohio State's been in it every year. I'm really thinking it's Michigan, not Michigan State. Michigan State can't beat North Bay Haven. Michigan. Michigan, I think Ohio State, Michigan, Oregon are your three. Penn State's right there. They just find a reason to choke it. And the one team nobody's talking about, and I'm telling you, mark my words, Rutgers is going to be in the mix at some point.
Ooh.
I didn't say they're going to win it. I said they're going to be in the mix.
Schiano got them boys rolling, man. And they could really be a thorn in the side of a lot of teams.
And I'll give you one more to look for just because my boy's the head coach and I got to look out for him. Homeboy grew up together. Brett Bielema, Illini. Come on, the Fighting Illini in Pasadena. Let's see it.
Let's see it. Coach Siegel, we're out of time for today. Look forward to hearing you Friday afternoon. You take care, and we appreciate you.
You got it. Thanks, guys.
All right, that's Coach Siegel, and you'll hear him on the pregame show this Friday. Well, we're out of time, guys. What do you got real quick?
Real quick for Bear?
At Andrew-Siegel-2. You can also look up Andy Siegel on Facebook, or you guys can contact us here at ESPN Northwest Florida, 850-215-6290. Coach James House Show going to be live at 7 in the morning. Inside Drive back at 11. We'll see you guys tomorrow at 4. Just remember, Jesus loves you, so do I. Have a great day.
Ready to go under the lights? Mosley Dolphin football is back. ESPN Northwest Florida brings you live play-by-play coverage all season long with David Hayes.
Touchdown!